Radio check, radio check. All right, we should be live. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the stream. We have got the Mexican Grand Prix today. Very, very exciting. Lots to look forward to. Of course, we've got the two Ferraris starting up on pole position. Then we've got Max Verstappen in third, Danny Rick in fourth position. And we could potentially see him score a podium depending on how Ferrari's strategy is. If Ferrari do have a little bit of a slip up, which, maybe is very typical of Ferrari, we could see Danny Rick up on the podium if his qualifying pace transfers over to his race pace. Yeah, and then of course we've got the Mercedes in sixth and eighth position. They they had a very bad Q3 if you look at it in comparison to everyone else. So through qualifying yesterday, what we saw was that most of the teams, when they got from Q2 to Q3, they gained about 2 tenths, 3 tenths of a second, mainly because they optimized how to get their tires in the perfect window. And yeah, so they optimized their tires to get them into the perfect window, and then because of that, they could obviously gain 2-3 tenths in terms of lap time. Whereas Mercedes, they went a little bit too far on optimizing their tires. They had a good they had a good Q2, but then when going to Q3, they cooled down their tires a little bit too much, and they lost quite a bit of time in the first sector, and that's why they are in sixth and eighth position and maybe not up, in the top three, top four. So yeah, Mercedes, they do have pace today. Their qualifying yesterday was just a little bit lacking, so we'll wait and see how they progress throughout today's race. All right, will Norris reach the points today? Well, I mean, if you look at who's in the points right now, I would expect the top eight to finish in the points, because of, their cars are quick enough and they are, starting up in the top eight, so I'd expect them to finish there at least. So you've only really got two spots in ninth and 10th for Bottas and Zhou that Norris can get to. So, I mean, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Norris? Is it going to be Sonoda, who's going to have a comeback drive because obviously the car is very quick, and Ricciardo's up in fourth, so maybe the AlphaTauri of Yuki Tsunoda will also gain a lot of positions. We could see Alonso; he's got upgrades this weekend, and Aston Martin have actually understood them, so maybe they can get in. Maybe he can get into top 10. It is pretty difficult to predict what's going to happen. Going into turn number one, we might have a 3-car crash, and then 3-car crash. 3-car crash in the top 8, and then you've got a whole lot more action going on and people scoring points, which will be brilliant. Norris from 20th already in 17th, yes. So, Sonoda had a grid place penalty. Sargent had a grid place penalty. Well, Sargent actually got one yesterday for, I think, an unsafe release. Or, oh no, he didn't follow yellow flag rules correctly, and that is why that's why he's got a 10th place grid penalty. But he was starting in last place anyway, so yeah, Sargent in 19th, and Stroll starting from the pit lane once again. Obviously, they've found something and they want to change something in the setup of the car. And since Stroll wasn't starting too high up anyway, they decided to start from the pit lane. And, we'll see how that goes. It works out for Stroll, of course. Last weekend, he started from the pit lane, ended up making it to the points after the disqualifications. So if he can do that again, then that would be fantastic. All right. We have 71 laps of racing around this circuit. Track temperature is 48 degrees, the hottest we've had all weekend round. It is blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. And that's going to pose a very big tyre deg issue for the teams. We could potentially see a two-stop here just because how high the tyre deg is. Of course, Sergio Perez is home race. He is, as we know, is an expert at managing his tyres. So we could potentially see him pull off a one-stop and then get a couple of positions gained that way. But yeah, in terms of strategy, it's going to be all dependent on what the driver tells back to the team. 48-degree track temperature. Alex Albon was saying the car feels totally different switching from 40 degrees to 44 degrees, which means that switching from 44 to 48 is also going to be another massive jump. So we'll just have to wait and see what the difference will be, which teams are quicker, which teams are slower in these conditions. And then the other main thing is overheating, because we're up here so high up in Mexico City, 7,300 feet high. That I'm pretty sure that's that's higher than most of the mountains in the UK. But yeah, so effectively, it's very high up. The air is thinner, and thinner air means less cooling potential. So the teams have got the biggest ducts on the biggest cooling ducts, the biggest engine vents, and all of that stuff to cool the car down. And we'll wait and see if that works out for them. Some teams might struggle, some teams might not. It all depends on their respective cooling packages. We'll see maybe a couple of drivers lift and coast to preserve their tires, preserve their brakes as well, and then also, I mean. Lifting and coasting is absolutely brilliant. It conserves your tires, it conserves your engine, it conserves your brakes as well. But then, of course, it all comes at the cost of lap time. Short shifting, it will help you in the traction zones, helps out your tires, helps out your engine as well. So, it's all tricky. You've got to balance the car, and you've got to balance pace with degradation and overheating. So, uh, the teams will they'll figure it out. Of course, a couple of drivers like Lando Norris starting in the back, clean air is going to be so critical. Like, you're going to gain so much time by just being in clean air, because you're not going to have hot air from the drivers ahead of you, which just means that the if you don't have a hot air ahead of you, then your overheating issue is going to be a lot less. Your tire overheating issue is going to be a lot less. So clean air is very critical. We could see a couple of drivers go in to do an early pit stop to try and get an undercut and come out on clean air. It is we'll have to wait and see what teams decide to do what, but it will be pretty difficult. What is the Pirelli's tire strategy? It is to start on the medium tires and then go on to the hard tires. That's what they recommend is the fastest strategy, and then the second fastest is medium, then medium, then hard, then medium. And then the third fastest strategy is start on the hard tires, go so far late into the race, and then do the final stint on softs. But we saw yesterday the softs were very much dead after one lap, and then with these higher track temperatures, I mean, it's still rising. It was 47.9 before, now it's 48.4. So temperature's still slowly going up, and I don't think the soft tires are going to last anything in today's race. All right. How many people have we got tuned into the stream? Let's have a look. Got 750 people. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you are enjoying the stream or just want to help out the channel, then go ahead and press the like button and subscribe. It definitely does help out. We'll get more people on the stream. So there we go. But I think the main person to look out for in today's Grand Prix is going to be Daniel Ricciardo. He's had a brilliant qualifying. In the interview afterwards, he said it's not a fluke, that it's just raw performance from the AlphaTauri and himself, which means, yeah, of course, Daniel Ricciardo is going to be in fourth position, and he says that it wasn't a fluke. So ideally he should finish up maybe in fourth position, fifth, or potentially on the podium if there is a mishap ahead of him, which would be great to see Daniel Ricciardo back on the podium. Of course, he's had a tough couple of years in Formula One, and then a year out as well, which has probably taken a psychological toll, but all of that will be washed away if he can score a podium. All right, 7 minutes now till qualifying is underway. Oh, not qualifying, sorry, the race is underway. We'll have the formation lap and then just the usual, the usual 71 laps of racing around here, which will be great to see. Okie doke. So let me know what your predictions are in the chat. What do you think is going to happen on lap number 1? Who do you think is going to end up on the podium? Lap number 1. So this is another thing. Off the race start, you're going to have, if you have an odd number, on your grid position. So Leclerc is 1, Verstappen is 3, Perez is 5. They are on the clean side of the grid, and Sainz and Ricciardo and Hamilton, all of those drivers are on the dirty side of the grid if you have an even number. So effectively, if you have an even number, you are much more likely to get a bad start compared to everyone else. So we'll have to wait and see. Does that affect anyone? We could see Leclerc get a good start, Sainz get a bad start, and then they start slipstreaming each other down the straight. So that's one thing to watch out for. And then the other thing is, of course, 800 meters of pure full throttle after the race start down towards the braking zone of turn number 1. So 800 meters, that is a lot of time for the drivers to go slipstream about and potentially slingshot past the drivers ahead of them. And we'll just have to wait and see. Of course, we've seen past couple of races, the drivers going 3 wide, 4 wide into turn number 1. And in fact, there's a little kink in the road. It doesn't show up on the map, but the straight isn't as straight as it looks on the map, and there's a little kink in it, which makes it a little bit more hard to predict where the drivers are going to go, where the ideal position to put your car is. And we'll wait and see how the drivers deal with that. Of course, most of these drivers who are up in the top five, they've had quite a bit of experience starting up in the top five, and know the circuit quite well. The only driver who doesn't have that much experience around here is Oscar Piastri, Logan Sargent, and oh no, that's it. Oscar Piastri and Logan Sargent. So Piastri, though, he has driven around the circuit, just not raced around it. We'll wait and see how he performs, but I think it might be a little bit cautious. Don't want to get tangled up in any lap one incidents, because he has had a brilliant qualifying, and this would be a good chance for him to go and outscore his teammate, albeit his teammate is starting 10 places behind him. Yeah, right. Let's see. What are your guys' predictions? We've got Verstappen on the first, Perez second, Hamilton third. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty standard, layout of who's going to get the podium. But I would like to think that we could potentially see Ricardo, one of the Ferraris, up there. Turn one squeezes, Albon crashes into Bottas, Norris gets run wide, Stroll locks up. Is Stroll locking up? I mean, Stroll's starting from the pit lane, so I don't think he will lock up. But Leclerc squeezes Sainz and both get overtaken by Max. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. We're only now 4 minutes away from the formation lap, and then that'll be 5 minutes away from the race start. Chances of a safety car. In fact, I have not looked at that. Let's have a look now. How many safety cars have we had in the past couple of races here in Mexico? We have had 43% of races with a safety car, 71% with a virtual safety car. And that is usually because overheating issues, drivers just ended up DNFing the car. Of course, by this point in the season, it is quite. It's done a whole lot of miles on those engines, on that gearbox. So we are reaching towards the end of life for these components, and then of course, once you get to the end of life, reliability goes down, and we could see a couple of DNFs. All right, 71 laps of racing around here. We've got 3 DRS zones, 4.3 kilometer long circuit, and mainly the 3 DRS zones definitely going to help with overtaking. The highest top speed, 356 kilometers an hour, I think achieved by Valtteri Bottas in 2016. And action down at turn number 1 is always guaranteed. Then you got going through turn number 4 and 5. There is a whole lot of action there as well that happens. We'll just have to wait and see what does occur. And then, of course, the middle section is very, very high speed. And then you've got the stadium section at the end. I'm going to have a quick drink of water and I'll be back in a sec. Is it supposed to rain here? It is not supposed to rain. Chances of rain are 0 according to the forecast, and it is completely blue skies. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect any rain whatsoever. And we'll just go through the. What's it called? We'll go through the grid once the formation laps gets underway, but we're 2 minutes away from that now. And I think Albon will make it into points. I mean, Albon's starting in 14th position, and he's going to look to score some points here. Unfortunately, he got his lap time deleted when going into Q3. He exceeded track limits very, very marginally, and ended up in 14th position rather than going into Q3. So he will be looking on the up to potentially chase down one of these Alfa Romeos, because on paper, the Williams is quicker. So we'll have to wait and see. What tyres is Leclerc on? We'll get... Oh, well, here we go. The tyre information has come through. We have got everyone starting on the mediums, apart from Albon and Ocon, who are on the hards, and Lando Norris, who is on the softs. Very interesting strategy here with Lando Norris starting on the soft tyres. I mean, I personally wouldn't recommend it considering how high track temperature is. 48 degrees, that's 4 degrees higher than yesterday. And yesterday the tyres were dead after one lap. So, Norris is going to get a good start, pit early, and then come out in clean air. That's what the plan is, at least from McLaren side. Like, that's what I can think of. They're planning to start the race on the softs and then hope for a safety car potentially, and just, basically what they're trying to do is get into clean air, because if you are in a DRS train or any sort of train on the circuit, you're going to get overheating issues for days. You're going to get tired egg issues for days. So getting in that clean air is very, very important. And, that's what we're going to see from Lando Norris. I don't know exactly why the drivers have started on the hard tyres. Maybe they're trying to extend out their first stint, but that definitely isn't going to give them any clean air, which definitely will be a issue. Update your likes target. Yeah, might as well push that up to 500. Thank you everyone for tuning in, by the way. Very much do appreciate all the support. And I'm glad you enjoy the coverage as well. Formation lap underway. There we go. 71 laps of racing around this circuit. And yeah. All right, let's just knock down this delay a little bit. Nope. Yeah. All right. So let's see what is going on. On the Hey Gamer. I just want to take the opportunity to say thanks for a great season. What you do is greatly appreciated. Hope you have a fantastic off season. Thanks again. Very much do appreciate it. Michael Sonon. And yeah, everyone else in the chat as well. Yeah, Max is the fastest ever, like Messi, but with driving. Yeah, maybe. Ooh, Mexico City is built on a lake, and the city sinks 12 centimeters per second. That is quite an interesting stat there. Also, the map has, as I say, it's frozen. It's unfrozen itself as well, which is brilliant. And yeah. Let's just fix this delay that I've got added in. All right. The weekend's attendance, 400,000 people is 400,000 people have attended this weekend at the Mexico Grand Prix. It is absolutely brilliant to see. Of course, lots of them fans of Sergio Perez. He's on a 2 centimeters per year. Sorry, I must have made a mistake there. But what I was going to say, Sergio Perez, past two races here, he has gone and got a podium. So yeah, he'd obviously love to keep that streak up, get a podium in front of his home fans, and we'll wait and see if he can do that. All right. So yeah, the drivers now just lining up onto their positions. We got Leclerc and Sainz, Ferrari front row lockout in second. In first and second. Then we got Verstappen, Ricciardo in third and fourth. And then we got Sergio Perez, who's definitely under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo for next year's seat, in fourth and in fifth, and then Hamilton in sixth position. Piastri and Russell in seventh and eighth. The two Alphas in ninth and 10th. And then we have Pierre Gasly, Nico Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg having a solid qualifying yesterday. Not too, I mean, the Haas hasn't been too quick recently, but Hulkenberg still doing a solid job out qualifying K-Mag there quite consistently. And then we have Alonso and Albon in 13th and 14th. Yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, I think I've just totally forgotten. And then Ocon and Magnussen in 15th and 16th, Norris in 17th and 18th, Sargent in 19th, and Lance Stroll starting from the pit lane. We've got 4,000 people watching. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you guys could hit the like button, that would be fantastic. And it is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and it is lights out and away we go. Charles Leclerc gets a good start. So does Carlos Sainz. Verstappen already through the middle of them, and as they go, they're 3 wide now down the straight. There is so much dust being kicked up. Verstappen on the inside, Leclerc on the outside. Sergio Perez had a brilliant start. He's on the outside of Leclerc, and they get pinched. Oh, it's a Red Bull sandwich. Perez has been spun off. Leclerc cuts the gravel, Leclerc cuts the grass, and we've got Sergio Perez making his way down to the bottom of the field. He's been spun around by Charles Leclerc. Leclerc's got front wing damage. Verstappen, though, going into turn number 4 now, in the lead of this race. Leclerc with front wing damage. Carlos Sainz in second position, and we've had Danny Rick up in 4th place as well, defending against Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton off the circuit. Ricciardo will not be happy about that, and we'll wait and see how that goes. But we got Verstappen in the lead and Sergio Perez in last position after being hit by Charles Leclerc. He turned in on it a little bit, and Leclerc just had nowhere to go. Verstappen on the inside and Perez on the outside. Yeah, it has not been great for Sergio Perez's home race. Of course, he's in 20th position, and depending on the damage he has got, he might even retire. Leclerc still continuing with a little bit hanging off the end of his front wing. He's got his front wing end plate that's been damaged. The rest of the front wing is perfectly intact, but we'll wait and see what Ferrari's decision on that is right now. All right. As they go through now the stadium section for the first time, we've got Verstappen in the lead of this race, Charles Leclerc a second and a half behind, and he's already broken DRS there, and it looks like we're having a little bit of a train for him. We've got Leclerc, Sainz, Ricciardo, and Hamilton together, and then behind him, we've got Oscar Piastri and the rest of the drivers. Lance Stroll exited from the pit lane and has made his way onto the back of the pack, and Sergio Perez into the pits, unfortunately. And we'll have to wait and see, does he come out again, or do they just do a couple of repairs? Let's have a look. They are changing the tyres. They have put him on hard tyres. Their pit stop is taking awfully long. Is he going to come out of the pits? No, by the looks of it. That is it. Sergio Perez's home race. He is out at turn number 1. That is so unfortunate. Yeah. All right. Wow. Yeah, just not ideal whatsoever. And I think someone said Verstappen will make it past both Sainz and Leclerc off the race start, and that's exactly what happened. Both Sainz and Leclerc got a good start, but Verstappen got a great one, went through the middle of the two drivers, and Sainz had no one to slipstream off, so he was just getting slower and slower, driving over the dirty parts of the circuit. Sergio Perez got a mega tow around the outside of Charles Leclerc, and then as they go into turn number 1, 3 wide, Perez just closes the door a little bit on Leclerc, and Leclerc really had nowhere to go. And that is it for Sergio Perez's race. Yeah, can we get an F in the chat, guys, from Sergio Perez? For Sergio Perez, not from Sergio Perez. A brilliant tow indeed. But, there's just not, sometimes he just misjudged it. He didn't know if Leclerc had space on the inside or not, and hoped that Leclerc just conceded the position a little bit, and that is not what happened. All right. Let's get back to the race at hand, though. We've got Daniel Ricciardo under a whole lot of pressure of Lewis Hamilton. We're currently on lap number 3, so DRS will be enabled now, and Hamilton will be gaining off the back of Daniel Ricciardo. So we'll wait and see how that goes. Lando Norris setting the fastest first sector there on the soft tyres. He's definitely not doing any tyre conservation. He's definitely going for a very quick one, very quick on those tyres, trying to wear them out quickly and set a couple of quick laps in the process. But, Lando Norris, we'll see how that strategy works out for him starting the soft tyres. It's very unorthodox, and Pirelli did even suggest it, but we will wait and see. Yeah. Right. Ricciardo is still in 4th position, though. He's now, he's caught up onto the back of Carlos Sainz, so he might get a bit of DRS there and help him out down the straight. Otherwise, he would be a sitting duck to Lewis Hamilton. Right, the stewards have said that there's no further investigation at turn number 1. Yeah, that's what's happened, and Leclerc has just been informed over the radio. No further. We've got a little bit of front wing damage, but we're not going to worry about it too much and just continue on not coming into the pits. Danny Rick, though, now onto the back of Carlos Sainz, and we're going to see, he's using the DRS now to defend against Hamilton. Hamilton has the slipstream, and he also has the DRS, but Ricciardo has the DRS as well. So not enough pace differential there in the top speeds for Hamilton to make an overtake. We'll have to wait and see. Ricciardo, though, in the AlphaTauri, doing a solid job keeping up at those lap times. The question is, how quickly will his tyres drop off compared to everyone else? Because I'm sure Lando Norris, I'm sure Logan Sargent could also do the same lap times, but his tyres would wear out a whole lot quicker than the rest of the field. So That is the question. We've got Max Verstappen with currently the fastest lap of the race. He's going 4/10 faster than the Ferrari. So Ferrari and Verstappen very much in a different league. That's kind of what we expected. And yeah, all right. Hello, Fluffy, Puffy, Puppy. Yeah, nice to see that you're back. Daniel Ricciardo, go. Happy to see him back. Yeah, there goes the quality. Yeah, if you guys do have any issues with the quality, just press settings and then the highest quality setting on YouTube, because YouTube is slightly problematic when it comes to this kind of stuff. Also, we do have a virtual safety car deployed because there is debris on the circuit. The piece of Charles Leclerc's front wing that broke off in the turn 1 contact is still there at turn number 1. Lando Norris did not come into the pits. That could have been his opportunity. He's only done 4 laps on those softs and they will already be reaching the end of their life there. Yeah, so there's a little bit of damage from Sergio Perez's car, a little bit of damage from Charles Leclerc's car, and that is why we have a virtual safety car to clear up the debris. So as the drivers make their way past turn number 1 and they go through into the second sector, marshals will come onto the circuit and they will clean up the debris. All right. So that's what's been happening there. Yeah. All right. But yeah, still under virtual safety car conditions. It might get disabled in the next couple of seconds now. Yeah, it says clear. Yeah, we'll get going in a bit, and maybe we'll see Lando Norris come into the pit lane, because that might be the ideal strategy. If he is going to do a 2-stop, he might as well pit under the virtual safety car. That will definitely help him out. Yeah, there's been virtual safety car is coming to an end, and we've got an incident with Charles Leclerc that's been noted driving in an unsafe condition. He did have a piece of his front wing hanging off the end, and he'll just be given a warning for that. Nothing too serious, because I'm sure he didn't even know if the piece had completely broken off or if it was still attached sort of to his car. All right, we got 5,000 people tuning in to the stream. Very much appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If we could hit the like, actually we've broken the like goal, so I guess we can knock that up a bit, and we're quite close to hitting the subscriber goal as well. So yeah, thank you everyone for liking and subscribing. All right, I'll keep you updated on what's going on in the race, but as of now, Danny Rick has lost the DRS of Carlos Sainz on the virtual safety car, of course. Just caught napping a little bit on the restart, and Sainz got a better getaway than Ricciardo, and that gap has opened up to now 1.2 seconds, and Ricciardo is now very vulnerable off the back of... Well, yeah, Lewis Hamilton is going to be attacking Daniel Ricciardo quite a bit here, because, Ricciardo's no longer got DRS to help him out, so that is going to be brilliant to see. We'll see some action up there at the front. Yeah, right. Congrats to Max for getting an 8th win from a Leclerc pole. Well, not just yet. We've got what's it? 48-degree track temperature, 25-degree air temperature. Overheating might be an issue. We could see a failure. Of course, the Red Bull has been extremely reliable, but you never know. We're getting to the end of the season now. The parts are coming to their end of life. They've done so many miles in the practice sessions, in the sprint races, and we could see a couple of failures in the high temperatures and thin air of Mexico City. Alonso is slow. Let's have a look. I mean, Alonso, he started up in 13th, had a bad getaway, dropped down into 16th, but looking at his lap times, yeah, he actually had a bit of a bad lap there. I'm not sure he's particularly slow, but I definitely, what I can say is the Aston Martin, the way they've been headed. Stroll, in fact, Sargent overtakes Fernando Alonso there, and we got Hamilton now looking onto the back of Danny Rick. It is so close there. Hamilton basically pushing Ricciardo through these corners, and yeah, Hamilton's rear wing so close to Daniel Ricciardo's rear tires, but Ricciardo still holding on. It's a question of how much longer can he do that before Hamilton gets an overtake done, because 3 DRS zones around this circuit, that is extremely tricky to hold the drivers behind you. And Hamilton, with the fastest lap of the race, going ever so slightly quicker than Max Verstappen with the help of DRS going down the straights. Okie dokes. Also, for the second place position in the championship, of course, with Perez out of this race, that's going to mean every single point that Hamilton scores is going to help him catch up. Currently, Hamilton 39 points behind Sergio Perez in the Drivers' Championship. So any points he scores today is going to go towards reducing that gap and potentially getting Hamilton up in second position for this season in terms of the standings. All right, once again, it is round number 3. Hamilton opens the DRS, opens the slipstream. Ricciardo looking to the inside, pushes Hamilton all the way. And the brilliant defensive driving there from Daniel Ricciardo, because what he's done, he pushes Hamilton onto the dirty part of the circuit in a totally fair manner, may I point out. And Hamilton goes onto the dirty part of the circuit. He knows that if he tries to brake there, he's just going to go totally lock up, go straight on. And great defensive driving there from Daniel Ricciardo, pushing his opposition into a worse situation, meaning that he stays ahead. What happened to Perez? Perez crashed out turn 1, lap number 1. In fact, I think I'm going to pin that message because we're going to get so many people asking. Perez crash at T1 at turn 1 on lap 1. Right. Yeah, so I'll pin that message so we don't get too many people asking, because it is obviously... Well, of course, it's the Mexican Grand Prix. A lot of people are going to be rooting for Sergio Perez, and then you see him DNF'd out of the race. It is, you want explanations. Okay, it's lap number 9 of 71. Lando Norris should be coming to the pit soon. Those soft tyres aren't meant to be lasting that long. And just looking at the Pirelli strategy, they say you can do approximately 25 laps on your medium tyres. Well, actually, they can say you can do 27 to 34 laps on the medium tyres. So you can go basically halfway on the mediums and then do the final stint on the softs. On the hard, sorry. But yeah, I think that would be pushing it a little bit. They didn't expect such high track temperatures today, and we'll wait and see. Tsunoda has got a lap time deleted for exceeding track limits there. Where is Bottas? Bottas is in 12th position. Have you paid your rent yet? I think I have, yeah. I paid it. When did I pay it? Earlier today? I don't know. Very strange question to ask someone, but it was a bit of a coincidence that I paid it today. But anyway, right, back to the stream. 63 laps remaining of this race. Verstappen 2.5 seconds up in the lead of the race, and there we go. Give me rent. Rent is. Landlords are just not very nice people. That's all I'm going to say. Charging extravagant amounts for rent, but we're not going to go into politics here. Hamilton over the radio, the car is running hot, and overheating issues as we expected, coming to bite Hamilton. Of course, Hamilton has been 1 second behind Daniel Ricciardo for the last 10 laps now, and as we see here, Hamilton pulling out of the slipstream of Daniel Ricciardo just to cool the car down, because overheating issues, you do not want your engine failing on you, and Lewis Hamilton is struggling with overheating now, so we'll wait and see. But that's good information for us. 10 laps behind a driver ahead of you within 1 second, and you start to feel overheating issues. We've got George Russell as well. He's on the back of Piastri. He's dropped back a little bit here, and I suspect he'll be dealing with the same issues. Okay, it's Yuki Tsunoda, first driver to come into the pit lane. Thanks, guys, for pointing that out. And he comes out. He's only done 9 laps on the mediums. Very strange. I don't see why he would come into the pits, and he's on a set of hards. So maybe this is a bit of a strategy to go out in clean air, because look at this. Yuki Tsunoda, he can definitely push now. He's got 25 seconds of clean air ahead of him, which is going to be brilliant in terms of, how his car is going to be in terms of reliability and just how much he can push. And then if there is a safety car future in later on in the race, then he could get a pit stop under that safety car and, go on and have a great race from there. So it's kind of banking on a safety car. A 2-stop isn't the quickest strategy according to Pirelli, but with these high track temperatures, I don't think Pirelli accounted for that. So we're a little bit in the unknown here, and we'll wait and see how that works out. Hamilton, he's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream, and once again, he goes onto the dirty part of the track, and he tries to overtake Ricciardo there. And this time, Ricciardo, Hamilton just gets past him. Hamilton goes so far onto the dirty part of the circuit, kicks up so much dust, but still manages to get that braking performance out of the car. And unfortunately, Hamilton's got DRS here, and Ricciardo is losing time on the following straight. So we'll wait and see now. On to the next straight they go. Will Danny Rick be able to re-overtake him? And then we'll see a nice little squabble between those two drivers. But of course, Hamilton now getting a bit of clean air there. And Ricciardo will start struggling from overheating for every single corner he is behind Hamilton. Ricciardo will start struggling. Yuki Tsunoda out the pits, 2 purple sectors from him, definitely trying to warm up those hard tyres and get them up to temperature very quickly. And, we expect quick lap times from him. We'll wait and see what he can do. This is his first lap after his out lap. Okie dokes. Tiger Shark 323. I mean, I think you guys are just trolling me at this point. Have you paid your water bills? I don't know. It just goes out my account. It's typical stuff, really. I mean, I don't even know why I'm answering these questions, to be honest. Let's get back to the race. 12 laps out of 71, and we've got Daniel Ricciardo attempting to overtake Hamilton here. He's got a very nice slipstream, but just a little bit too far back there to make a move on this occasion. And we'll wait and see what is going on the next straight. Here he goes. 9/10 is the gap. Unfortunately, a little bit too far back there. And I think Hamilton, of course, is in the quicker car. The Mercedes were not so quick. They weren't so quick yesterday. They kind of messed up their qualifying strategy. They cooled down their tires a little bit too much, and then going down the first sector, they struggled quite a bit. So they should be a little bit higher up. And oh my god, we're getting TV licenses, library books, utility bills. Obviously, guys, I've obviously paid all of the bills. We've got what am I saying? We've got Lando Norris out of the pit lane. He's after 11 laps on those soft tires, he pulls out onto a set of hard tires, and he is just slightly ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. And we'll wait and see what his lap times are like. Tsunoda sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:22.5. Goes 1 full second quicker than Max Verstappen here. So that's just telling you how bad the tyre degradation is. Where are you from, mate? I am from the United Kingdom. So, basically where all of the F1 stuff's based. Yeah. All right. Perez did an amazing strategy call by saving up on tyres. Yeah. Obviously, yeah, you got 13 sets of tyres over the weekend. Sergio Perez saving 3 sets there by just crashing out the race. Have you done your laundry? No, I've not. I've got to do that on, probably going to do it on Wednesday. Okie dokes. Do you like Max Verstappen? Well, that is a tricky question. In 2021, I very much did like Max Verstappen. He put on a brilliant show for us. But in the past couple of years, he has been dominating a little bit too much and making it a little bit boring. Yeah. Also, guys, let me know where you guys are from in the world. We've got someone from Kenya in the chat. Oh, I got to update the like and sub goals. Right. Well, thank you everyone for subscribing. That is fantastic to see. Hopefully we can continue breaking these subscriber targets. Okie dokes. Sweden, Australia, North Korea. Yeah, I think you are from North Korea, not gonna lie. Poland, Canada, India, USA, Antarctica. Oh yeah, Antarctica. I mean, that's my favorite tourist location. That's where I go on holiday. So, right. I'm going to focus a little bit on the race, but if I'm being totally honest with you, as you can see, all of the drivers spread out a little bit because they are suffering from overheating issues. New Zealand, Algeria, Germany. In fact, fun fact, if you guys didn't know, New Zealand has a beach which is 90 miles long. Yeah, I don't know why I know that, but there you go. If you want a really long beach that will take you probably an entire day to cycle along, go to the New Zealand. Yeah. Okie dokes. So we got Alex Albon looking to overtake Guan Yu Zhou here. He's currently in 11th place. Albon trying to get up into the points. It's been it's gained 3 positions off the race start, which has been brilliant for him. And Zhou is still in 10th where he started. And Albon looks like he has a quicker car. We know the Williams is very quick in a straight line. And just following Albon here, it looks like he's struggling a little bit. Not too confident on the power, but I mean, do you expect to be confident on the power when your temperatures are so high? And but he is not doing any lifting and coasting. He is definitely attacking, and he looks pretty close by now. Right now, he is currently half a second behind Guan Yu Zhou. So if he can maintain this gap out of the final corner, then it looks like he might be able to pull off an overtake going down the main straight. So here he goes. 6/10 is the gap as he comes out of the final corner, comes across the start finish line. DRS has been activated. The car's climbing up into 350 kilometer. Up into 350 kilometers. And here they go. 0.2 of a second is the gap. Can Albon get the overtake done? He's on the inside. Zhou doesn't fight it too much, looking to get the switch back. And on this occasion, Albon on the hard tyres, Zhou on the mediums, and Albon able to get that move done. Let's see, can Zhou fight it back as he goes down the next straight? Albon gets the DRS, and unfortunately, Guan Yu Zhou now down into 11th and Bottas in 12th. Also, I would like to point out Charles Leclerc has just been told over the radio they are on plan A. So plan A. That's usually the best plan. So Ferrari is going A-OK for them, and we'll wait and see how that happens. How did Checo DNF? He turned in on Leclerc, which meant he got crashed out. So there we go. All right, I'm from Earth. Not gonna lie, I'm actually from the moon. Yeah, right. How many people have we got watching? Got 6,000 people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Very much do appreciate it. We're on now 800 likes, which is fantastic to see. Okie dokes, we are now coming up to the pit stop window for the medium tyres. Lap number 15, lap number 16. This is when, with these higher track temperatures, we expect to see the drivers coming into the pit lane. And even we saw this, Alex Albon getting past Guan Yu Zhou when Albon's on the slower, harder tyres. So you can just see the hard tyres not wearing out as much, and we can see that the medium tyres are wearing out, and that allowed Alex Albon to get that overtake done. All right, please recap with Checo's DNF. Perez crashed out turn number 1, turns into Leclerc, and basically they're 3 wide going into turn number 1. We've got Verstappen on the inside, Leclerc in the middle, and Perez on the outside. And I think Perez, what he expected was that there was no one on the inside of Leclerc, and Leclerc was going to take the inside most racing line, but he didn't know of the fact that Verstappen was on the inside most racing line, so Leclerc had nowhere to go, and then he turned him on him. So it wasn't exactly Perez's fault. It was a bit, it is his fault, but it was a misjudgment. He wasn't on purpose turning into Leclerc. Just a misjudgment of where his teammate was on the circuit, which led to him getting crashed out. Which team do I support? I support Fernando Alonso. Well, I supported Seb Vettel, and then, of course, Vettel retired. So, I was on the Alonso hype train at the start of the season, 6 podiums out of the first 8 races. But then, it's kind of gone downhill from there, hasn't it? Okie dokes. Let's see. What else have we got in the chat? Did you watch El Clasico? No, I did not. But I would support Barcelona, and I think Barcelona aren't doing so great after Messi left. Not particularly a big football fan. Kind of been watching the cricket more recently. India beating England. It was a pretty decisive win there, not going to lie. And yeah. Okie dokes. What have we got going on now? Lap number 17 of 71. We got Gasly in 9th position on the back of Hulkenberg. He's been there for quite a while now, and he'll start struggling with overheating issues. Sorry, if he can't get that overtake done shortly. Zhou as well has now been sat in the DRS of Albon for a bit, and the same thing can be said for Bottas, and the same thing can be said for Magnussen, and Sargent now catching up to that pack as well. So yeah, it's for those drivers who are currently in that train, their tires are going to wear out significantly faster than the rest of them, and we'll wait and see how that goes. But just looking at the lap times now, Alex Albon, a 125.5 from him on this previous lap, and compared to Pierre Gasly, a 125.1. Of course, Pierre Gasly does have DRS on Nico Hulkenberg, so that's going to give him 3-4 tenths. So this is around about the point where the hard tyres start to have the same pace as the mediums, and maybe 2-3 laps on from this, the medium tyres are going to be slower. Yeah. Right. Let's see. How long will it take Lewis Hamilton to win a Grand Prix again? Well, he's in fourth position, but I think it's going to take as long as Mercedes take to build a quicker car, which, it could be next season for all we know. We do know that the top teams tend to start development on their next season's cars a lot earlier than the other teams. So, and Mercedes have been on an upward trajectory, but I would say McLaren has been on an even more upwards trajectory, and they've just started from. They at the start of the season they were basically a tractor, and now here they are up into third fastest car, second fastest, third, fourth fastest car. Like they're up definitely in that window. So it's great to see that they've had so much development, and now we'll have to wait and see if that continues on into next season. And does their car for next year, is that significantly faster than the rest of the field, or well, there's a lot of unanswered questions. We'll just have to wait and see, really. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else is going on? Oh, we've got Hamilton now catching up to the back of Carlos Sainz. This is interesting. Hamilton, of course, got a bit of clean air after he overtook Daniel Ricciardo. He probably took that time to cool down his engine a little bit, and now he's on the back of Carlos Sainz. So we'll wait and see, can he get that overtake done? Because it's going to be pretty critical for his race if he wants to get a podium, of course, overtaking Carlos Sainz on the circuit. I'm sure Mercedes could pull it off strategy-wise, but it will be, ever so tricky. Because I'm sure if they try to go for the undercut, Ferrari will respond immediately. At least I hope so, because the undercut is very, very powerful here. As we saw, Yuki Tsunoda still holding the fastest lap of the race, and he did that on a set of hard tires. So yeah, any sort of fresh set of tires is going to allow you to push so much more than the tires you're on right now, which means an undercut strategy will be definitely optimal. All right. So let's see. Hamilton now 0.5 of a second, 0.6 of a second behind Carlos Sainz as they exit the final corner. This was the same distance he was when he overtook Daniel Ricciardo. So he's opened the DRS. Oh, we've got Verstappen into the pit lane. Verstappen has come into the pits. I think he's going to come out on hards, but right now we've got Hamilton on the back of Sainz, and Hamilton looks to the inside, but just does not get that move, doesn't go for that move there. He knows he's got another straight coming up, so tries to get a brilliant exit out of turn number 3. He is right on the back of Sainz here. He opens the DRS as they make their way towards turn number 4. And once again, Hamilton not close enough to make an overtake there. Carlos Sainz doing a brilliant job. He's not going defensive, in fact, so he's timing this exactly right. We saw Daniel Ricciardo go defensive a little bit early compared to what Carlos Sainz is doing, and Carlos Sainz managing to hold on to his position as of now. We'll wait and see how much longer he can keep doing that. All right, Verstappen pits. He's out on hard tyres, and let's see, he's got a bit of clean air ahead of him. He's got definitely a lot of clean air behind him. He's got Russell ahead of him, and we'll see how long it takes him to catch up, and we'll keep an eye on his lap times as well. Yeah. Okie dokes. Let's see, Leclerc still in the lead of this race. And Carlos Sainz under a fair amount of pressure from Lewis Hamilton. Once again, it's the same gap as it was on the previous occasion, 6.5 tenths. And it looks like Hamilton will not be able to make the move if he's got the same battery setting as last lap. But, let's have a look. Going down the straight they go, and the gap is not closing up that much. Hamilton, he looks to the inside, trying to put off Carlos Sainz as they go into the braking zone. But Carlos Sainz, as cool as a cucumber. I don't know exactly why I use that phrasing, but, cool as a cucumber, why not? And he is not succumbing to the pressure of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton also just pulling out of the slipstream a little bit to cool down his engine and his brakes, because he is suffering from overheating, and we heard that earlier. And it'll only be a matter of laps now till that starts happening again. We've got Verstappen now, purple in the final sector, green in the first sector. And he's already closed up 1.5 seconds to George Russell there. So Ferrari, they should be pitting ASAP here if they want to, stay ahead of Max Verstappen, stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Stay behind Max Verstappen, but stay within a reasonable distance. And if they want to stay ahead of Hamilton, now is the time to get that undercut in, gain that extra 1.5 seconds, and put Carlos Sainz out. With a bit of peace of mind to get ahead and to stay ahead of Hamilton. Oh, we've got the Mercedes crew coming out into the pit lane. So Mercedes now, are they going for the undercut? Is Ferrari going for the undercut? No, Hamilton does not come into the pit. Maybe it is George Russell that is coming into the pit lane. But Sainz, once again, this time Hamilton even further back than he was on the previous occasion. And Hamilton, not even in the slipstream this time, he is just trying to cool his brakes because there is so much overheating. I mean, I've talked about it quite a lot, but when you are 7,000 feet up in the air, that is a whole lot of a whole lot less air, less air particles to cool down your engine. And with the sunny skies, blue skies, and no clouds whatsoever, we're getting an awful lot of heat going through these drivers' engines and brakes today. All right, Granny Zhou, next driver to come into the pit lane. Max Verstappen sets a personal best lap time and and the fastest first sector, in fact. And Sainz has come over the radio, and Science engineer, has come over the radio and said, we still think one stop is the best strategy, and Science has said copy. So there we go. Yeah. So Science still confirmed to go for the one stop. He is 6.5 seconds behind his teammate, and Hamilton, in fact, has dropped off a little bit. 1.5 seconds now is the gap between Science and Hamilton. So that is a testament to how big that overheating is. And every tenth, drop back, that is a very massive reduction in temperature. So there we go. Sorry, new F1 fan, can you explain what each column is? Yeah, sure. I will actually, because I think quite a few people actually have the questions about this. So basically, you've got the drivers off in the left column, and you've obviously, of course, got what position they're in. Then you have DRS here, which is whether the drivers are within range of DRS and are they using it. DRS, of course, 1 second ahead, 1 second behind the driver ahead of you. Diff is the amount of positions the driver have gained relative to where they started. So Stroll started in 20th position. He's now up in 14th. So that's why, he's up into 13th now as Sargent comes into pit. So that's why it says +7. Interval here is the gap between this driver in second position and the driver ahead of you. So Hamilton's interval is 1.7 seconds, which means he's 1.7 seconds behind Sainz. The gap is the distance to the leader. So Bottas here, he is 34 seconds behind the leader, but he's only 6.5 tenths behind the driver ahead of him. And then the best lap is self-explanatory. The last lap, self-explanatory. Sector 1, Sector 2, Sector 3 is the circuit's split into 3 parts, and it just has a time for each part. And then the tyre history is which tyres that the drivers were on and on their first stint, and then the tyres that they are on their current stint is here, and then the previous stint is here, and then the previous stint before that is here in the third column. But that is that. So that's the columns explained for you. And yeah, okie dokes. So none of the Ferraris haven't pitted, the Mercedes haven't pitted here. We saw the Mercedes pit crew come out with a set of hard tyres, but neither Russell or Hamilton came into the pit lane. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. What is the time you need for a pit stop? You lose, I think, 22 seconds in the pit lane. And then 22 seconds plus however long your pit stop takes. So, if you're picking a pit stop's 3 seconds, then that'll be 25 seconds that you lose in the pit lane. Do you think Lando can get a top 6? Well, currently Lando in 12th position has made some solid progress up the field, but top 6 is a little bit out of reach there, because currently, if you look at the gap between Lando and the top 6, that is a solid 30 seconds. That's one less pit stop than the drivers ahead of him. So it'll be tough. If there's a safety car though, and everyone bunches up, that's definitely on the cards. But right now, it is not. What strategies are Ferrari on? Ferrari are on a one-stop strategy, and just a confirmed one-stop. They're just going all the way. Drag out this stint to maybe lap number 27 or so. And look at this, Hamilton into the pits now. So they have gone for the undercut, have Mercedes, and now this time it is now hammer time for Lewis once he comes out the pit lane, and pressure on to Carlos Sainz, because Hamilton's going to gain like 1.5 seconds here on his after his pit stop, and he's got a quick pit stop from Mercedes, 2.5 seconds. So it's going to be tough here. Danny Rick gets overtaken by Max Verstappen going down the main straight. So Verstappen pushing himself back up, and when Leclerc and Sainz inevitably do pit, we will see Verstappen retake the lead of this race. Hamilton, though, comes out the pits now, and we'll keep an eye on his times. And if I were Ferrari, and I tend to think that I can make better strategy decisions than Ferrari, I would love to see Carlos Sainz, go into the pits right now and potentially come out side by side with Hamilton. It will be a bit difficult, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Lando made up a huge amount of time on the hard tyres. Yeah, that is true. Of course, on the hard tyres, he's had a whole lot of clean air, and then as everyone has come through with their pit stops, they have come up a little bit higher up because, as you can see, Norris and Tsunoda were the two drivers to pit earlier, and everyone else who's pitted on the hard tyres, they are now how many seconds behind? They're like 10 seconds behind Norris and Tsunoda. So that's worked out for them very, very well doing that, pitting early. But then, of course, those tyres are going to wear out a lot quicker towards the end of the race, which, bit of a trade-off. Then maybe they'll have to do an extra pit stop. We're still yet to see. All right, Sainz has... Ferrari have decided not to respond straight away. So Sainz of Ferrari have said it's our best bet is to go for the optimum one stop and maybe go to lap number 30, lap number 35 on the medium tyres and then go on to the hards. So that's what Ferrari think, but I'm sure when they come out the pit lane, they will be behind Lewis Hamilton, because look at this time from Hamilton, fastest middle sector out of anyone and a personal best third sector. And just looking at those times, he will be going quicker than Carlos Sainz no matter what. So yeah, Hamilton though will come out ahead, but then of course we'll have older tyres, so it'll be a bit of a tall order for Sainz to overtake Hamilton, but I'm sure it can be done. Yeah. All right. So Daniel Ricciardo going for 2024 confirmed. Well, it's not been confirmed yet. In fact, they've confirmed the exact opposite. He's going to be driving for AlphaTauri. But, if Perez bottles a couple more races, crashes out, I am sure that Red Bull will just be like, right, well, it's time to see you later, mate, and bring in Daniel Ricciardo. Especially considering how brilliant of a race he's having, 4th position, and he's holding that pace up as well. Yuki Tsunoda, his teammate, he's gained 5 positions off the race start, but still nothing as dramatic as as you would have expected, considering his teammates up in 4th position. So Danny Rick doing a good job here. Of course, he goes well around this circuit. He was, in fact, quite close to getting pole position. I think he's got pole here once as well, and very close to beating Max to it in 2018. Oh no, in fact, that's what it was. Yeah, he got pole. He beat Max to pole in 2018. So of course, Daniel Ricciardo knows the circuit very well. He knows how to drive around it quickly. And that is, working out for him. We'll wait and see if he can stay in the top 4. But by the looks of his pace for this first stint, he is keeping up absolutely fine with the Ferraris and the rest of the field. So, we could see him potentially up in the top 5 for sure. Yeah. All right, Verstappen now 2.5 seconds to Carlos Sainz. He is getting closer and closer. And it'll be only a matter of time now before we see Verstappen overtake Sainz on the circuit. In Sainz, he should be pitting lap number 27 now. That's what Pirelli said. Your earliest pit stop is that. So, yeah. Perez to Williams, since they're good at rebuilding competency, bring sponsors. That is true, actually, because Williams currently have Alex Albon and Logan Sargent, both quite inexperienced drivers, and no, I'm not doubting them or anything, but you've got to take into account that experience gives you a whole lot more. There's a lot more trust in the team when you have an experienced driver and they say, okay, no, the car isn't handling well in this type of corner, so we need to do more development for this. I'm sure Alex Albon's pace and Sergio Perez's pace is quite similar. But in terms of developing the car for Williams, which is quite critical to them right now, having an experienced driver like Sergio Perez would be great for them. Yeah. All right, Daniel Ricciardo comes into the pits, 27 laps done on those medium tyres, and he's going to do another 44 on the hards if there aren't any safety cars or anything like that. Yeah. What happened to Perez? It was 3 wide going into turn number 1, turned into Perez, and first lap stupidity. Effectively, he didn't know that Perez had no room, that Leclerc had no room to the inside, so he turned in on Leclerc, expecting Leclerc to go all the way to the inside of the corner. But there was Verstappen who was all the way on the inside of the corner. So there we go. Yeah, Checo's really trying to lose that second place in the World Driver Championship to Hamilton. Well, currently 39 points between Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez in the Drivers' Championship, and Hamilton finishing in 4th position. How many points is that going to be? It's 25, 18, 15, and then 12. So yeah, 12 points gained for Lewis Hamilton if he ends up in 4th position. Maybe he'll end up in 3rd, maybe he'll end up in 5th. Well, he's still yet to see. but Hamilton is every single point he gets today will be going towards catching up to Sergio Perez in that second place constructors. And Verstappen in the DRS of Carlos Sainz and gets ahead of him quite easily. It's not too difficult to overtake there. Carlos Sainz does not fight it. He does not need to. And in fact, Carlos Sainz will try to use a slipstream of Verstappen and maybe tow him along a little bit in his current stint. All right, Gasly into the pits as well. So the only drivers yet to pit are the two Ferraris and Bottas and Stroll and Alonso, who are on the medium tyres, and then you got Ocon and Albon, who are on the hards, who are still going strong. And of course, you've got to consider the fact that the hard tyres are now quicker than the mediums. So Albon gaining time on the rest of the drivers who haven't pit as of yet. All right, Leclerc's been asked over the radio how many more laps can you do at this pace. And Leclerc answers back on the radio, for now everything feels good, everything under control. So yeah, Charles Leclerc 28 laps on those medium tyres, he's doing a solid job there. And now you've got to consider Hamilton, he's done 4 laps on his hard tyres. So say now Ferrari pit in 5 laps time, the difference between Hamilton's and Sainz's tyres will be 10 laps, 9 laps, and that's going to be enough of a pace difference for Carlos Sainz to catch up to Lewis Hamilton and potentially make an overtake there. So that's a strategy that Ferrari are going behind. They're going to go, Hamilton, your tyres are 10 laps older than mine, so I'm going to overtake you. Thank you very much. Because the thing is, if Sainz comes into the pits now, he's only going to have 5 lap fresher tyres, and 5 laps isn't that big of a difference. And we could see Carlos Sainz get stuck behind Hamilton, which would not be what Ferrari want, obviously. Okie doke. So yeah, Max has beaten his own fastest lap. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, just another fastest lap from Max Verstappen. I mean, he's not in the lead of the race as of now. He's, of course, in the net lead of the race after the rest of the drivers come into the pits. But, typical Max Verstappen things, just setting fastest laps of the race because you can. Well, I think he did that because he overtook Sainz going down the straight and then got a massive tow, and then because of the massive tow, got a massive... got a quick lap time because of the tow. There we go. Fernando Alonso comes out of the pit lane, 2.8 second stop for him, and he is out of the pits in 19th position, unfortunately. It is not great there for Fernando Alonso. Had a bit of a horrible race here, and his pace is lacking. I mean, maybe he's got some sort of damage somewhere on the car, but usually we don't see Fernando Alonso slower than Lance Stroll. All right, first driver to come into the pits, we have got... not first driver, sorry. Carlos Sainz comes into the pits, 2.3 second pit stop for him. And now, well, as I was just saying, that Hamilton's tyres are only going to be 5 laps older than Sainz's now as they come across the line. So is that 6 lap difference going to be enough for Carlos Sainz to overtake Hamilton? That is the main question that we have here on our hands. 5 seconds is the gap as Sainz comes out of the pit lane between Hamilton and Sainz. Not ideal there, because before the pit stops, we had Hamilton 1.6 seconds behind Sainz, and now he is 6 seconds ahead of him. So that's a 7.5 second gain there for Hamilton through the pit stops. So yeah, we'll see if Ferrari can catch it up, but I think it might be another Ferrari strategy blunder. Yeah, you are a Ferrari fan. One can tell from how passionate you are about Sainz. Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to stay impartial here, but yeah. I mean, I supported Ferrari when Vettel was at Ferrari, and right now it's just Ferrari doing their typical screw ups. So nothing too exciting there. All right, Leclerc into the pits on this lap as well. Is Leclerc going to stay out ahead of Lewis Hamilton? I mean, that's going to be pretty tough. Leclerc coming out of the pit lane now. And Hamilton exiting the final corner. Leclerc still trapped under pit lane speed limits, and here he comes. He exits the pit lane speed limit, and he is comfortably ahead of Lewis Hamilton here. Hamilton, though, closing up a little bit because, of course, he's got the extra top speed coming out the final corner instead of the pit lane. And Leclerc 3 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and Carlos Sainz is 6 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. So, that's what we've got. We've got 40 laps left, and Sainz has got to close a 6 second gap. I mean, to be honest, if I were Sainz, what I would do is keep that 6 second gap, continue lapping in fresh air. And lapping around in fresh air is just going to help you out a little bit. Make sure those tyres don't wear out too much. And yeah, oh, we've got Kevin Magnussen going extremely wide off the final corner. Just having a bit of a moment there, getting a bit of oversteer, and then going all over the dirt. Not ideal for his tyres, but I'm sure with the rest of the 1 kilometre long straight, he will have cleaned up those tyres. What's your opinion on George Russell? I mean, I'm going to be honest. George Russell's been doing a solid job here. He's been quite close to Lewis Hamilton in terms of qualifying. Unfortunately, in the races, it hasn't played out as well as he would have liked, with Hamilton scoring 60 more points than him. But in terms of qualifying pace, Russell quite close to with Lewis Hamilton. But of course, Russell still having things to learn, like tyre management, and just perfecting those things as well as Hamilton has, before he can, become a fully fledged championship contender. All right. You think Lewis will get a podium? Well, currently he's in third position. Oh, we've got a yellow flag on the circuit. We've got Kevin Magnussen. He has had a massive crash there. He is totally fine. He's getting out of the car, but then we're going to get a full safety car for that. Full safety car that will be deployed. And Alex Albon and Esteban Ocon are going to be extremely pleased about that. They haven't pit just yet. And if they pit out onto the medium tyres, that could be a race, that's going to help them out a lot. All right, Kevin Magnussen is totally fine. He got out of the car, but there is a whole lot of debris, and it's going to take a while to clear all of that up. So we have got a full safety car deployed. Unfortunately, yeah, just after a couple of other drivers pit, if Leclerc Sainz stayed out for 1 or 2 more laps, they would have gained so much time in the pit stops and potentially even leapfrogged Verstappen. Actually, I don't know. The deltas are all messed up now because of the safety car, but I think the gap was only like 7-8 seconds, and you gain 10 seconds if you pit under the safety car. So, Leclerc could have at least overtaken him. Oh, we've got Verstappen coming into the pits here. He's got so much of a pace lead here over everyone else. He comes into the pits, puts on a fresh set of hard tyres, and he's going to go to the end of the race on that. Just make it a little bit more comfortable for him. And we'll see what the rest of the field decide to do. Yeah, Sainz is now going to close up the gap as well. That is good. And also Commando 46, yeah, qualifying doesn't win in the points the race does. And definitely Lewis has been doing a better job there. Yeah, but of course, I think Russell definitely has the potential to match Lewis and do similar things to him in terms of like how many points he scores. But yeah, as of now, he's still lacking in the race department. In those little areas, his pace is fine, but those tire management things, being able to lift at coast at the right times, managing his. Ooh, that is very strange there. Something broke there on Kevin Magnussen's car as he goes over the curb. Ooh, that is very strange. His steering wheel was turned right, and his car veered off to the left. I suspect there might have been a suspension failure there as he was going over the curbs. So it's not even Kevin Magnussen's fault by the looks of it. Suspension failure going over the curbs is quite strange. Usually we don't see suspension failures around here, but it's either suspension failure or tires or something. And then the brakes set on fire in the crash. England lost the World Cup. Yeah, I mean, England, if you're talking about the Cricket World Cup, yeah. Yeah. Because they're just playing terribly. Yeah. All right. But let's get back to Formula One. Do you think Lewis will get a podium? Well, it's going to be a little bit more hard here because Sainz has got slightly fresher tyres on him. And then off the safety... Oh, we've got a full red flag here. Red flag has been deployed. A little bit strange here. I mean, there is a lot of debris over the circuit and stuff. I don't see what the need for the red flag is, but, I mean, a couple of drivers that have come into the pit lane, like Lando Norris. Norris came into the pits now for a set of medium tyres. He's lost a fair amount of positions because of that, and he is not going to be pleased. So I suspect what they're going to do is revert back to like I think what would have it been, like lap number 32 maybe. So they'll revert back to the positions on lap number 32, and then they will go on from there. Very strange. I think we've got a red flag because the barriers have been damaged because he did go in at a very high speed there because a suspension failure. Usually, if you lose the car and like you get a big snap of oversteer when you're sliding around, that kills that, that takes away a lot of your speed. But if you have a suspension failure, that's it, right off into the barrier you go. And that's kind of what happened to Kevin Magnussen. So yeah, not ideal whatsoever. And they're just going to be repairing the barriers, and that is why they've got the full safety car, a full red flag deployed, in fact, rather than just a safety car. Also, guys, we are 28 subscribers away from our sub goal, so if you could hit the subscribe button if you are enjoying the stream, then that would be fantastic. I'm going to be streaming for the sprint race, sprint qualifying, all of that stuff in Brazil next weekend, and then I'll be doing Vegas and Abu Dhabi as well. Verstappen not happy about the red flag? Yeah, Verstappen not happy about the red flag. He wants, of course, he was so far up in the lead of the race, and now they're going to have to do a standing restart. It is definitely not great for him, but it's just the way things go sometimes, and we'll just have to see what he can do. Yeah, we're going to have 37 laps of racing after the red flag has been cleared out, but they are just clearing up the debris and then repairing the barriers as well, because it was quite a severe impact there. They've picked up the car, taken it off the edge of the circuit. There's an escape road quite close by, but they are very close. They've got new temporary barriers as well, and will be shortly getting underway. But yeah, they've just got replacement barriers that they're just going to put in place now and take out the damaged barriers. So it's a good job there from the team. They've got the replacement barriers ready on a truck as well. Very organized here from the Mexican marshals. Can they do a pit stop during the red flag? I think they can. Maybe they need something from the FIA to say they can, but I'm sure Esteban Ocon will, bolt on a set of medium tires and try to go to the end of this race. Why did Norris put on soft? Norris started the race on soft tires. It's a little bit confusing, but the tires that they started on are on the right hand side, and then the tires that they are currently on are on the left hand side. Oh, we have hit our subscriber goal. Yeah, there we go. Red flag. Did it rain? No. Tire changes allowed during a red flag. There we go. Thank you, Remy. Yeah, by the looks of it, just a suspension failure on the right rear as he goes over the curbs, and the car just says, "No, can't do any more of this," and just off into the barriers. The marshals now clearing up all of the damaged barrier off the circuit, and then getting ready to replace it with another one. Will Hamilton get benefited over Sainz now? Well, I mean, the only pace difference now is 7 laps, is 6 laps, sorry, of pace difference. But when you're on a standing restart, like that's gonna, it's not that big of a pace difference. So going into turn 1, we're gonna have another maybe 3 wide moment. Who knows? Ferrari, they'll be changing their front wing. Leclerc, of course, had a slightly damaged front wing there. And in fact, I haven't pointed this out. Leclerc has been driving with a broken front wing. His end plate is broken, and he is still able to stay ahead of Carlos Sainz. So that is a serious testament to Charles Leclerc's pace, because, I mean, I'm sure the FIA will allow them to replace the front wing now. I'm not 100% sure on the rules. I know you're allowed to replace any parts as long as it was the same part that it was on before. Yeah. All right. Why is it red flagged? It is red flagged because Kevin Magnussen crashed into the barrier, and there is barrier damage. Callum Mayhew, I very much appreciate you asking how is your day. My day's been all right, but spamming it, not the best idea in the world there, buddy. Apologies for the coughing. I've been a little bit ill. Yeah. Right. Does Hamilton have a new set of hards to change to? Well, let's have a look. I'll have a look at the Pirelli tire information, and potentially we could see who has got a fresh set of tires to use. Ooh. Right, so let's have a look at how many tires does Hamilton have. Hamilton only has one set of hard tire, unfortunately. Yeah, so only one set of hard tires for Lewis Hamilton, so he does not have another set to go on to. It would be a little bit risky going on to the mediums to the end of this race, but of course you've got to take into account in the second half of the race you'll have less fuel in the car, less load going through the car, and and the temperature's dropping a little bit as well, so you could pull it off. It would be a bit of a tall order though, but I think maybe Esteban Ocon, he'll go for that strategy because effectively he's going to get a free pit stop now. He's done 34 laps on the hard tires, and then he's going to go on to the mediums maybe and try and extend it out all the way to the end. Yeah, right. Let's see. You seem like a nice person. Well, I very much do appreciate it. Who do you think's going to win the Cricket World Cup? I'd probably say India. I mean, it's their home. It's at India as well, so they've got their home fans supporting them. Who is your favorite team and driver? My favorite driver, Seb Vettel. Favorite team, not really got one anymore. Yeah. Who do you think will win? I'm pretty safe to say it will be Verstappen. Why is it red flagged? Because Magnussen crashed into the barriers because of a suspension failure, and they are replacing the barriers. What's your Insta? My Insta is in the description. Yeah, so there's the Discord, Twitter, and Insta. I don't post too much on Twitter, or X as it's called now, but Insta and Discord I will, kind of be active. If you have any questions or want to DM me, then that is where you reach out to me. Any team would give you a job. I mean, I've just got to get in contact with a McLaren social media rep or something, social media manager, and be like, look at this. We've got actual, we have how many people tuned into today's stream? Let's have a look. So before the red flag, we had 7,000 people tuned in before the red flag. So that's a sizable chunk there. And if it's coming off the official McLaren YouTube channel, then I'm sure there'll be an awful lot more, and I can do some actual commentary, So we'll wait and see. Can Leclerc change the front wing now? Yes, Leclerc can change the front wing. No issues there. And they have replaced the barriers as well. Mexican marshals being very quick and swift with their work. And they have replaced the barriers. So we will be going racing shortly. Right. Okay, do you think Lewis can pip Leclerc for second? Well, it just depends on the restart really. If he gets ahead on the restart, it'll be pretty tough for Leclerc to re-overtake him. So, yeah, there's not really much I can add after that. If Hamilton gets a good start and Leclerc gets a bad one, then that could be that. Done and dusted. Do they go into the pits under the red flag? Yep, they are all queued in the pit lane at the red flag. Yeah, did they announce what time the race will restart? No, they haven't announced it. They've announced the order of the drivers restarting. We're getting a race restart in how many minutes? Race will resume in 10 minutes time, guys, I think 10 minutes. The time zones are slightly different. So, yeah, but the race should restart in 10 minutes time. Or maybe it's starting now. I don't know exactly. No, it'll probably be 10 minutes, yeah. Okay, race restarting in 10 minutes time. Okay, yeah, the drivers now just getting their final drinks, talking to the engineers, putting the helmets and race suits back on, and they'll get back in to the cars shortly. All right, what is the reorder the lap before? I think it is a lap before. I haven't got. I don't know exactly, but I'll just read it out to you. But I don't know every single driver number, so I might just say the driver's number. So we've got Verstappen, then Leclerc, then Hamilton, then Sainz, then Ricciardo, then Piastri, then Russell, then Sonoda, and then whoever driver number 27 is, which I suspect is probably Hülkenberg, and then Norris, And then number 10 is Pierre Gasly. And then number 23, 24, who I think it's Albon is 23. 24, I'm not sure. Then 31, 2, then Valtteri Bottas. And then 18 and 14, who I suspect are, yeah, Stroll and Alonso. F1 Gamer, what can your audience do to help you with the McLaren deal? The McLaren deal, I kind of just made like I wasn't talking about it as if it's actually happening. I just like someone commented like, "Oh yeah, you should social media. An F1 team will hire you," and I kind of made it up from that. But you know, I'm sure. I guess subscribing and hitting the like button mostly, and then if we get enough people watching the stream, and I somehow get in contact with a McLaren media manager. But the thing is, like, even if I did tell them about this opportunity, I think what they would say is probably, they would say it's a great idea, and then they wouldn't let me commentate. They'll just get someone else who's actually, a professional commentator rather than me, to do it. If I'm being, like totally honest with how I think it will work out. So, yeah. Like I'm sure McLaren have an F1 app, and so do Ferrari, and it could be a way to promote their app. Just like having a live stream up on YouTube saying if you want the drivers team radio, then get onto the app. So it could definitely work, but they'll just take the idea and then get someone else to commentate. Right. We're getting a race restart in 8 minutes time, guys. 8 minutes, and we will be going a racing. Alfa Romeo do a lot of streaming and content creator stuff too. Yeah, I mean, actually, I have a contact that might be able to get me in contact with Alfa Romeo's social media team. So might try and use that. But I haven't talked to the guy in a while, so we'll have to wait and see. Maybe get something sorted out for next season. That'd be very exciting. What's the maximum laps on the medium tires? Well, Pirelli say you can do 35, 34 laps on medium tires, but that is in your first stint when you have 100 kilos of fuel in the car. Whereas now you're going to have 50 kilos of fuel in the car. Make it ever so slightly lighter, and you might be able to go to the end of the race. Yeah. I've heard that the drivers have their drinking system like a pipe connected to their mouth. It's very much, it's not like scuba gear where you have like a mouthpiece that you constantly hold on to. It's much more just like, a straw that you're drinking on. They just have the straw near their mouth. And then when they want to drink from the bottle, they just twist twist their head a little bit, get the straw into their mouth and then drink from the straw. Yeah. All right, first time tuning in. This is the best channel since the mighty Murray Walker. Don't have Sky or any way of watching F1. Keep up the good work, John from Roscombe, Ireland. Well, thank you very much, John McGarry. Very much to appreciate your support. I'm glad it's your first time here. Of course, you've hit the subscribe button as well. That is great to hear. Right, we have got 6 minutes now till we go racing again. The drivers will do a formation lap as usual, and then after the formation lap, they will come around and park it up on the grid. And there we go. You are the new Murray Walker. Well, I don't think my voice is as iconic, but well, your voice doesn't have to be exactly that iconic. Of course, Crofty, when he first came into F1, his voice was never that iconic. But as the time goes on and his commentary lines got better and better, he is now known as the voice of F1. So it just changes with time, doesn't it? All right. Let me know who you guys are going to vote for driver of the day, because driver of the day vote is currently out, and yeah, who do you think you would vote for? I mean, Tsunoda has had a brilliant race. Look at this, 10 positions gained has Yuki Tsunoda. And I mean, that early pit stop strategy really worked out well for him. He just had a brilliant, was in the clean air. Everyone else was driving around in dirty air, in hot air, and overheating their car. So, yeah, brilliant job there from Yuki Tsunoda, gaining so many positions. What software do you use for your voice effect? I don't use any software. This is just my voice. I have a mic plugged into a DAC, which is plugged into my laptop. Yeah. Well, actually, like when I listen back to my own voice, I sometimes listen back to my own streams to like try and improve my commentary, but it's quite horrible because I mean I think everyone has had this. You listen back to your own voice in a video and you're like, I mean this is just doesn't sound like your voice, but yeah. All right. Charles is over the radio saying the restart of the race on the hard tires is going to be a mess. And I kind of agree with him there because everyone's got a used set of hard tires, which means there's going to be a lot of pace difference there because you've got to consider Sonoda 25 lap old hard tires for him, and if he's trying to get those tires are going to be so much more worn out compared to 4 lap old hard tires for Sainz. The pace difference there between those drivers is going to be massive, and the drivers going to have quick reaction times to get out of the way. Otherwise, yeah. Also, Rashid Abu Hadab spamming pick Perez for the memes is not. Yeah, just don't spam basically. There we go. Why have we got a red flag? Magnussen had a suspension failure, crashed into the barriers, damaged the barriers, and they were repairing the barriers. And that is why we have a red flag. All right. Yeah, I think quite a lot of drivers are going to switch on to a set of medium tyres and try to go to the end of this race because with 37 laps, and you've got to take into account that the cars are going to be slightly lighter than they were at the start of the race. Pirelli said you could do 50 laps, no, not 50 laps, sorry, 34 laps off medium tyres from the start of the race. So 50 laps less fuel, 50 kilos less fuel. And I think that could mean you can get to the end of this race on a set of mediums. You might have to do a little bit of lifting and coasting, but I definitely think it's possible. So, yeah, 3 minutes, guys. 3 minutes till we go racing again. So, yeah, thanks for sticking around during the red flag. And we'll be going racing shortly. All right. Oh, track clear. And, yeah, we will be going out onto circuit. It is a red flag. The drivers are coming out of the pit lane shortly now. Is it going to be a grid start or running start? It will be a grid start as usual. Callum Mayhew, who do you support in the rugby final? Honestly, I did not watch the rugby final. So, yeah, that answers your question. Seen you spam it in the chat quite a bit. Yeah, of course, I do apologize, guys, not being able to reply to every single chat message. But you've got to, take into account there are so many chat messages. I tried to get through to all of them, but then, of course, I've got to take part in, doing the commentary as well. Yeah. Hamza, Capsy, Henry, Hallam, very much do appreciate all of your wonderful messages in the chat. Yeah. All right, what happened to Perez? Going into turn number 1, lap number 1, they were 3 wide. Verstappen right on the inside, Leclerc in the middle, and Perez on the outside. Perez turned in on Leclerc, assuming that Verstappen wasn't on the inside of the corner. So that's kind of what happened there. Perez just didn't know that Leclerc had a driver on the inside of him. He turned in expecting Leclerc to turn even more, and Leclerc didn't. So he, got a little bit airborne, damaged the car, and that was him. That was him out. Who is your favorite cricket player? I don't watch cricket too much. Yeah, I've just been watching the World Cup recently. But considering I'm from the UK and England have been doing not great, I'm just not going to comment. Yeah. Whose fault was it on the opening lap crash? I would say it was down to Perez, but it wasn't an intentional error. He wasn't on purpose turning into Leclerc to try and give him no room. It was more of the fact that he didn't know that Verstappen was on the inside of Leclerc, which meant that he turned in expecting the Leclerc to be on the apex, whereas Leclerc was one car width away from the apex because, Verstappen was at the apex. So Perez, just a bit of a misjudgment there, but you can't blame him. He couldn't see the inside of the corner. And there we go. Love the flow of the commentary, but your because, but, and so sound so deep and long. Yeah, I don't know. It's just idiosyncrasies. Yeah, we were talking about this last stream. Just certain idiosyncrasies that I have. Just typical things, really. Ajay, it's my birthday. Can you get a shout out, please? Well, there you go. Right, we are getting underway now for the race restart. It is the time is now it is now what is it? 3:13 in 3:13 in Mexico, which means the race is underway. And as you guys can see, Verstappen, Leclerc, all the drivers now coming out onto the circuit. Who is your favorite Chinese F4 regional driver? Sergio Perez of Beijing Bulls or Lance Stroll? Yeah, just I mean, I don't even think China has an F4 category, but yeah, I don't know why the safety car is showing up on the map. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, look, this red flag has basically split the race into two halves here. We're getting a second restart, which is great to see. Maybe the safety car is going to come out and do a lap behind the safety car as well. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, because you've got to consider the drivers on these hard tires, they've got to do a lot of warm-up prep here. Oh, look at this. We've got a lot of drivers coming out on different sets of tires. Okay, so right. We have got Verstappen on a set of hards. Okay, well, actually, everyone has come out on a fresh set of tires. Oh, no. It looks like everyone's come out on a fresh set of tires, but Hamilton switched on to medium tires. So Hamilton going to the end of the race on medium. So he's going to have a better start at this stint, 37 lap stint. But he is going to suffer towards the end of this. He's going to suffer towards the end of this race. So we'll wait and see how that works out for him. We've got Piastri and Russell going on to medium tires as well. We've got Hülkenberg and Norris on medium tires. Norris was already on mediums, in fact. Ocon onto a fresh set of mediums, and everyone else on the same hard tires that they were before. So Hamilton, Piastri, Russell, and Hülkenberg and Ocon were the 5 drivers to switch from the hard tires to the mediums. Oh, and Logan Sargent as well. Everyone else still on the hard tires. Okie dokes. We're on lap number 36 of 71. The safety car is not coming out. We are having a normal race start procedure from the grid. We've got Verstappen lining up in first position, Leclerc in second, Hamilton in third, and the rest of the grid, as you can see on your screen. We are once again going racing for the second half of the Mexican Grand Prix. We had a whole lot of action going into turn number 1 on the previous race start, and I look forward to seeing some more as well. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for hitting the like button and subscribing. Very much do appreciate it. We're getting pretty close to both of our like and subscriber targets, and let's go racing, guys. Let's go racing at the Mexican Grand Prix. All right. Let's have a look then. Max Verstappen lined up. We got Bottas, Stroll, and Alonso parking up in their grid positions. And we will be going racing from the grid a second time this afternoon. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 lights, and it is lights out and away we go. We're all the drivers on a used set of tires. Verstappen gets a good start. Hamilton gets a even better one. Sainz off the circuit. We've got a whole lot of dust being kicked up behind the front pack, and Verstappen weaving around everywhere in the lead of this race. And then we've got Leclerc on the outside, Hamilton on the inside, and they make their way through single file through, well, the first couple of drivers single file, the rest of them in a big little pack, squabbling away, getting all twitchy on the exit of turn number 3. And as they make their way, we've got Logan Sargent dropping quite a few positions there. And it looks like Logan Sargent had a bit of an issue. I think he's all right. He's continuing on, but he's lost a whole lot of places there. Okay, so yeah, but it has been a clean start. We got Verstappen 1.1 seconds already in the lead. Sainz right on the back of Hamilton, and Hamilton, look at this, Hamilton's on the mediums. He's putting pressure on Charles Leclerc. So we're gonna have to wait and see, is Hamilton going to catch up to Leclerc, or is he not? It's going to be pretty difficult for him to, well, I mean, he's going to definitely catch up. Is he going to make the overtake, though? That's the question. DRS will be enabled, I think, in 2 more laps now. So it's going to be a while till we get DRS. But Slipstream, as powerful as ever. We'll see if Hamilton can get it done on purely Slipstream. All right. So let's see, out of the final corner they go. Hamilton with better traction, of course, on those medium tyres. He's gaining on Carlos Sainz, but the slipstream is not enough. And in fact, he's pulling out already a little bit here, trying to get in the mirrors of Carlos Sainz, trying to get in his head a little bit, and also cool his car down in the process. All right, look at this. I mean, Lando Norris pulling out of the train so early on. I mean, I think the McLaren's struggling with overheating a little bit there, because you've got to consider Norris. I think they knew his strategy was to pull out into clean air, and that initial strategy was drive around in clean air for most of the race, which means that they probably put slightly smaller cooling ducts than they needed, because they were going to think, oh yeah, we're in clean air, we don't need that many cooling ducts, it's all right. But here Lando Norris is in a massive train, and he's pulling out of the slipstream so early, because yeah, he needs to make sure that car is kept cool. All right, so we've now got two Mercedes attacking two Ferraris. We've got Russell on the mediums attacking Sainz, and Hamilton on the mediums attacking Charles Leclerc. Both Ferraris on the hards, and we'll wait and see what happens here. Sainz defending against Russell and Leclerc against Hamilton. DRS hasn't been enabled just yet, but it will be on the following lap after this woods. So we'll wait and see. Can Leclerc stay ahead of Hamilton, or is DRS going to be just simply too powerful? And then towards the end of the race, are the medium tyres just going to wear out a little bit too much, and the hard tyres, and it's just an easy peasy overtake there for Leclerc? We'll have to wait and see. We've got 34 laps of this race still remaining, and Verstappen in the lead of this race. Leclerc under pressure from Hamilton, and Sainz under pressure from Russell. Ricciardo, they're doing a brilliant job in 6th position. He's going to be under pressure from Piastri here. Piastri on the mediums and hards, and Ricciardo on the hards. So once again, that's a 0.4 of a second pace difference between the two tyres, 0.4, 0.5. So it's definitely enough to make an overtake. It's just a question of how well the other drivers do defend. Okie dokes. How long do hard tyres last? I mean, hard tyres can do around about 50 laps or so. So they're definitely going to be absolutely fine to get to the end of this race. Anyone who's on the hard tyres, the medium tyres are a bit more of a struggle, if I'm going to be honest with you. Pirelli said you could do 34 at the start of this race with 100 kilos of fuel. Now the cars are down to 50 kilos of fuel. So, we could see the drivers towards the end of this race struggle a lot on those medium tyres. And every lap they are sat behind a driver in dirty air. Those medium tyres wearing out even faster. Leclerc, he's got clean air ahead of him. Verstappen, 2 seconds up the road, not really affecting them too much. But Hamilton here, he's got the slipstream, he's got the DRS, he's been behind Leclerc for 2 laps. His tyres overheating now. And can he get this move done going into turn number 1? He is gaining. Leclerc goes defensive. Hamilton does not go to the inside. And Hamilton stays behind on this occasion. Russell as well, not close to make the move. And Piastri, brilliant job there done on Yuki Tsunoda. Gets ahead of Tsunoda. Stays ahead of Tsunoda, sorry. And Piastri is in a AlphaTauri sandwich. All right. On this occasion, we've got still Leclerc ahead of Sainz, and every single lap they sit behind here in the dirty air. Hamilton 0.2 behind Leclerc through the middle sector. I mean, this is doing his tyres absolutely no good. It's doing his engine no good whatsoever. So if Leclerc can hold him back for two more laps or so, Hamilton's tyres are going to be done, and he will have to back off. Hamilton comes over the radio saying he's weaving on the circuit like the driver ahead of him. So, Hamilton not particularly happy about the Leclerc's defensive strategy, but it's working out. The FIA haven't said anything just yet. We'll wait and see what happens. All right. Hamilton, this time, DRS so much closer than his previous attempt to Charles Leclerc. He goes all the way to the inside, kicks up a whole bunch of dust as well. Is he going to lock up going into turn number 1? He goes far too deep there. Can Leclerc attack him back? No, he cannot. Hamilton just narrowly holds on by the smallest of margins, and he's got DRS on the second straight following this, and he stays ahead of Charles Leclerc. So Hamilton's made that overtake right now, and Russell's still stuck behind Carlos Sainz. All right, that was so close. Hamilton all the way over to the edge of the circuit, dipping a wheel onto the grass and kicking up a whole lot of dust. But nevertheless, a nicely executed overtake there from Lewis Hamilton, and he is now up into second position here. The question is though, how much longer can he hold on to that second position? Can his tires hold on to for the next 32 laps? I mean, Hamilton's good at tire management, but when you've got track temperatures at 45 degrees and medium tires that are only supposed to do 30 laps, can you extend them out to do 40? It is extremely difficult, extremely tall order, but if anyone can do it, it will be Lewis Hamilton. All right. Let's see, Max Verstappen, fastest lap of the race, just typical Max Verstappen things. He's 3 seconds up in the lead. Now this time Russell looking to attack Carlos Sainz. 5/10 is the gap between Russell and Sainz. And as they go down the straight, Russell is gaining, he is gaining. Sainz goes slightly defensive. Russell looks to the inside, but he is far too far back to make an overtake on this occasion. And he'll have to try again on another, on the following lap. But if he can't get this done, then it's going to be extremely tough for him. And look at this, George Russell lifting and coasting here. He is, struggling with overheating now. And if he can't get this overtake done on the following lap, he looks like he will be stuck behind Carlos Sainz for the remainder of this race. Charles Leclerc doing a solid job there to keep Lewis Hamilton honest. He's got to make sure that happens. As the race progresses, it's going to come towards Leclerc. Leclerc's tires are going to hang on to the end of this race. Hamilton's going to drop off more and more. And we see around about lap number 17, 18, 19 when the hard tires start to get faster than the mediums. So, yeah, we've got 10 more laps. If Leclerc can stay with Hamilton, we could see him potentially holding on, re-overtaking him and getting that second place back. Lando Norris, by the way, made a brilliant move there on Valtteri Bottas all the way to the inside, a perfectly executed braking maneuver, just a solid job there from Lando Norris. Unfortunately, hasn't made that many places up from the start of this race. All right, Russell looks to the inside once again of Sainz, and to no avail. He is firmly stuck behind Carlos Sainz, and Sainz doing just enough there to stay ahead of George Russell. He comes over the radio saying it's going to be a tough stint, and it will be a tough stint indeed for George Russell. Stuck behind Carlos Sainz, not able to cool his tyres down, and we're going to see him struggle now as we get towards the end of this race. Oscar Piastri applying pressure. Well, he's actually looking to catch up to Ricciardo, but unfortunately, Ricciardo has got the one very nice advantage that George Russell is ahead of him, and he's getting some nice slipstream and DRS off him. So Piastri finding it a little bit tough here to catch up to Ricciardo, even though he is on the faster tyres. Because Ricciardo just gains a solid 0.3, 0.4 going through the first sector alone because of DRS. Hamilton comes over the radio and said, that's a long way on this tyre. So, Hamilton as well now. He's in the clean air. He's only 4 seconds behind Verstappen. So, that's going to be clean air for him. But it's still a very tall order for him to get to the end of the race on these tyres. All right. What happened to Perez? Perez crashed lap number 1, 3 wide into turn 1. Turned in on Leclerc, got airborne, and then that was the end of this race. Okie dokes. Also, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, then be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Very much do hope you are enjoying. And I will be streaming for the race in Mexico next weekend, and then Vegas and Abu Dhabi as well. So, if you're enjoying the coverage, then go ahead, press the like button, subscribe. And you can tune in for future streams. All right. Right, Leclerc's been told over the radio he needs to start lifting off more because Leclerc, he's on the back of Hamilton. He was getting a bit of a toe off him, which means extra top speed going down the straight, and he's using his brakes too much. Ferrari basically saying, if you carry on going like this, your brakes are going to overheat and just wear out by the end of this race, and it is not going to be good for you whatsoever. So start lifting off more, and by the time you get to the end of the race, you will actually have some brakes to use. All right. Yeah, let's see what else is going on. How many people have we got? 6,400. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, by the way. If you are enjoying, yeah, I think, well, I said that before. But yeah, 6,000 people, that is brilliant to see. Okie dokes. Right. Let's have a listen. Ooh, Leclerc's radio. They've just gone over the radio to Leclerc saying in about 5 laps, the hard tyres can be faster than the mediums. So, yeah, in 5 laps' time, Leclerc will start gaining on Hamilton, and we're going to see a fight to the end of this Grand Prix, which will be brilliant. Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna have a quick drink of water. I will be back in just a second. You guys should also have some water. Stay hydrated, because very important. Yeah. Right. Um. Yeah, I will have the drink. Yeah, you guys should also have that drink. As Kimi Räikkönen would say. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, just looking back through the archives a little bit. So the tires that we're using right now, C5, C4, and C3, are the tires that are being used in today's Grand Prix, and the medium tires being the C4 tires. And if you look back, in, I think last year or the race before, the C4 tires, they did last they did last a solid 40 laps or so, which I mean is definitely possible, but you've got to take into account conditions were slightly different at that point. Currently, we've got very high track temperatures, drivers stuck in dirty air, and hot air as well to that. So it's going to be very, very tough. I mean, George Russell, he's been right behind Carlos Sainz for so many laps now. I mean, it's been 10 laps now. He's been right behind Carlos Sainz, but to no avail. And he is definitely struggling from overheating issues. So, yeah. And he's just dropping further back and further back. And in fact, Daniel Ricciardo at one point was behind George Russell and using DRS, in fact, but he's just decided back off the pace a little bit, because the advantage that you gain from DRS is not worth the overheating that you get from being so close to the driver ahead of you. Oh, Lando Norris makes a brilliant move there on Esteban Ocon. It is extremely close, but Norris gets his way up into 10th, into 11th position, sorry, ahead of Esteban Ocon. What a move. He was very, very close to hitting, who was it? Hulkenberg, in fact, going into turn number 1. He was so late on the brakes, but yeah, makes his way through nicely. And his next target will be Nico Hulkenberg, and potentially we could see him up in the top, in the points at least, yeah. All right, doesn't Max need to pit again because he's only on used hard tires as far as you know you need? Oh no, Verstappen started the race on a set of what's it? On a set of medium tires. It's only showing you the previous 3 stints. He started out on the medium tires, went onto the hards. The safety car was deployed. He put on another set of hards, and then he came out of, and then the red flag was deployed. So he went through the pit lane again, and the system detects driving through the pit lane as a new pit stop. So there we go. Lewis needs to catch up to Max, or you know who will. Just looking at the lap times here, Lewis is 0.6 of a second slower than Max Verstappen on that previous lap. So by the looks of it, he won't be catching up to Verstappen anytime soon. Don't think anyone will be, to be honest. But yeah, and also George Russell's still stuck behind Carlos Sainz, and he's still attacking him as well. So I don't know exactly what this strategy is from Mercedes, but if he continues doing this, his medium tires are going to be totally dead by the end of this race. And yeah, very strange. I'm sure Mercedes would have predicted this, but maybe they know something that I don't. And Russell over the radio saying he's moving under brake. Sainz is moving under braking. Russell not happy. Obviously, you know what Russell's like. He turned in onto me, and he's always complaining a little bit. But then, you know, that's typical racing driver. The driver moves, you know, like 50 centimeters to the right under braking. He's like, oh, this driver's moving under braking, mate. Can't have that black and white flag. 5-second time penalty, please. So Russell now this time getting closer and closer, but yeah, the gap is just not closing up. By the looks of it, Sainz is deploying, is charging up his battery quite a bit going through the middle sector where he knows Russell can't overtake, and then deploys it down the straight a little bit, and well, that's what's explaining. Oh, look at this, Piastri under attack from Yuki Tsunoda, and Tsunoda right on the back of him. In fact, Tsunoda getting so close to touching Piastri all the way to the inside. Tsunoda on the outside here. Does Piastri outbrake himself? No, he does not. Can Tsunoda get the switch back? Unfortunately, on this attempt, he cannot. So, Tsunoda, though, so close to making a move on Piastri, and well, getting all the way back up with his teammate. I mean, you've got to give props to him. He started up in 20th position, or right at the back of the pack. He started up in 18th and he's now gained 10 positions up into 8th place. I would definitely vote him for driver of the day. We've got Fernando Alonso, who is retired from this Grand Prix. Can we get an F in the chat for Fernando Alonso? It is, just not great there. Just no pace whatsoever. And he is retired from this race. And just looking at the onboard from Yuki Tsunoda's perspective, Piastri pushed him a little wide, pushed him off the circuit. Yuki Tsunoda stays with it, taps Piastri. So Piastri gets a fair amount of oversteer there, but still manages to keep the car under control. Fernando Alonso retired from this race, and Tsunoda once again attacking Piastri, now this time down the straight with the slipstream. Is he close enough? This time he goes to the outside, Piastri on the inside. Oh, and Tsunoda is spun round. Oscar Piastri, it looks like Tsunoda turned in on him, Piastri didn't turn enough, and Tsunoda is quite annoyed, and we'll get some team radio and it'll contain a fair amount of swearing, if I'm being honest with you. I was just talking about how Tsunoda should be driver of the day, and then he goes and has this incident here. So unfortunate. I mean, both Tsunoda and Norris have done brilliant jobs starting at the back of the pack, gaining so many places here. Guys, if we could only have one F in the chat, that'd be fantastic. But Tsunoda's so close to getting that overtake done. This time he goes to the outside, Piastri. So let's have a look at this. Even before... Oh, let's see what Tsunoda's got to say. Oh, it's a silent team radio message, but... Piastri's over the radio saying he turned in on me. And to be honest, I think he did. Tsunoda didn't leave him that much room. And he was trying to get Piastri to take a very tight line, which is, of course, what you want to do when you're overtaking a driver. But it was a little bit too extreme there. And, All right, Henry, that is a 10-minute ban there, buddy. Just a little bit too much spamming. Okie dokes. Leclerc doesn't know whether to chase Hamilton or help Sainz. Yeah. Sainz has been holding off Russell for quite a while now, and for every single lap that Sainz does hold off Russell, we're going to see that Russell just gets further and further back. He has no chance of overtaking Sainz at this point in time. And Ferrari predicted at this point in time, 5 laps from when they send that team radio, the medium tyres are now going to start to be slower than the hard tyres. And just looking at the lap times here, Leclerc 0.4 of a second slower than Hamilton on the previous lap. So, we're still yet to see that pace materialize from the medium tyres, but from the hard tyres, sorry, and the pace disappear from the mediums. It could be a bit of a sharp cliff. Hamilton reaches 21 laps done on the medium tyres, and then they totally start going very downhill. But yeah, as of now, the lap times look in Lewis Hamilton's favour. Okie dokes. Also, Lando Norris having a brilliant race. I would say I'll have to go with Lando Norris being driver of the day today. Maybe Yuki Tsunoda. But unfortunately, yeah, he had that little incident, and it was his fault. It was more his fault than it was Piastri's fault. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I think that one little thing has tipped it over, and Lando Norris will probably be driver of the day in my opinion. Let me know who you guys think will be driver of the day. But Norris, of course, started up in 17th position and is now in 8th. So brilliant job there. Not the unskippable one. Guys, I really do apologize for the adverts. I basically I didn't particularly have that much of a choice in putting them on or not. YouTube is like, if you don't have adverts on your stream, then we're not going to show the stream to anyone. So we get literally no one watching. Because of course YouTube wants to make money. So yeah, the adverts are kind of necessary for the stream to be recommended to people. So yeah, I very much do apologize for that. I mean, I hate adverts. They're just, sell you pointless stuff that you don't really need. Because, if you needed it, then you would just go out and buy it. So yeah, like, I mean, just think about it. Like, every time you watch a car advert, there is never any traffic ever. There's never any other car on the road, and they're always driving through some mountain road, and they're like, capture your freedom driving our Mercedes or something like that. It's quite stupid, to be honest, but anyway. Ooh, so we have got here Pierre Gasly under pressure from Valtteri Bottas. Bottas on the inside there, looks to make the move on Pierre Gasly. Does get ahead of him into turn number 1, and then exiting turn number 3. He is so close. Activates the DRS, goes to the outside line for turn number 4. Gasly on the inside, Bottas on the outside, and can Bottas go around the outside? That is the question, and he cannot on this occasion. But he is so close to getting. Getting ahead of him. Oh, look, let's have a look at this pace. Leclerc catching Hamilton. Oh, yeah. And I mean, 21 laps done on those medium tires, as I said before, and it looks like they fell off a cliff. Either Hamilton made a mistake or they fell off a cliff, but yeah, Leclerc catched up at least a second on the previous lap here. So we've got 19 laps remaining, 5-second gap between the two drivers. Can Charles Leclerc get that second position off Lewis Hamilton? Yeah. Car ads are hilarious. Good point. I love Jeep ads because I'm 99. Yeah, Jeep owners never. I mean, people buy Range Rovers and Jeeps and all of that, and then they, the most rigorous thing they do is drive over some leaves, when the leaves fall off the trees in autumn. So yeah. All right. Let Leclerc cook. I mean, yeah, let Leclerc cook. Looking at this time, Hamilton obviously has been instructed over the radio. Leclerc now catching up. You've got to pick up the pace. And Hamilton now matching lap times with Charles Leclerc. 5 seconds is the gap. 19 laps remaining. Let's keep an eye on this. Tsunoda, yeah. Tsunoda gets told over the radio, you're faster than the cars ahead of you. And Tsunoda's just like, I don't need more information. I don't need anything. And if I was in his position, I'd be quite annoyed because of course he has started. He was up in 8th position, I think it was, and then got knocked down into 16th. Okie dokes. Tire history if the red flag is wrong. Yeah, it's been changed a little bit. Basically, as they drive through the pit lane, it registers as a pit stop, even though they didn't actually get the tires changed, because that's the way the system works. They just assume if you drive through the pit lane, you're probably taking a pit stop. Yeah. Do you think Mercs should pit, or is it too late? It is definitely too late. With 18 laps remaining, if you pit now, you're not going to be able to gain a second lap. Yeah. All right, here comes Esteban Ocon against Nico Hulkenberg. Into turn number 1 he goes, looks to the inside, and can't make that move, just stick on this occasion. Yeah, he has to back out of it a little bit. All right, just keeping an eye on the lap times here, and in fact, Leclerc loses time on Hamilton on this previous lap, so you've got to take this into account. Leclerc is still on 22 lap old hard tires. He's going to make a couple of mistakes here or there. Those tires aren't perfect either. But Hamilton on 23-lap-old medium tyres, it is going to get harder and harder for him to maintain pace towards the end of this race. Yeah. Okie dokes. Let's see. Ocon is trying to get close to Nico Hülkenberg as they go down the straight here, but this time just still not close enough there. And it's been not great, really. They're kind of stuck in a train there. All of them losing tire wear. They're just getting unnecessary overheating on their tires. Not great whatsoever. And then McLaren duo in 7th and 8th position. 1.2 seconds is the gap. Norris has gone from 17th up into 8th now. And I think he might have a little bit more pace than Piastri, and we'll see how McLaren deal with that. Do they say team orders? Do they say fight but don't crash into each other? Yeah. Yeah, they're having a discussion there, saying that Norris, you can go past on this lap and try and catch up to Ricciardo. If you can catch up to him and overtake him, then that's your position. If not, then you might have to give the position back to Piastri at the end of this race. It's a tough call for McLaren when you do have two fast drivers who are equally matched. So let's see. Let's listen to radio. Okay, so they've told Piastri, you've got this lap. If you can pick up the pace by half a second, then you can stay ahead. If not, then Norris is getting ahead of you, mate. So that's what they've been told. Norris gaining, though, of course. Norris with the slipstream now, gaining on his teammate. He does not, well, he's catching up a lot. Oh, and Piastri makes a mistake, locking up into turn number 1 there. Just the pressure getting to him a little bit. After you've been told you need to pick up the pace by half a second in one lap. Yeah, not ideal there. Oh, hello, Kiers. You got an exam in 15 minutes. I've been watching you. Well, great. That's great revision. Great revision for your exam. The McLaren duo in 7th and 8th position, and potentially could make their way up into 6th position or 5th as well. All right, they have switched around the positions. Oh, no, they haven't. Oh, have they switched positions? Yeah, they have switched positions. Piastri goes down 1 place and Norris up into 7th position. All right. Yep, the McLaren switch around, it's fair enough. And if Norris can't catch up to Ricciardo, say, then they will swap the positions back around at the end of this race. So it will only be fair to do so. So there we go. All right. Let's have a look. We're on 15 laps remaining of this race. Leclerc, the gap is still 5 seconds between himself and Hamilton. And he gains on 1 lap, and then on the next lap, he gains, he slows down a little bit and then gains and slows down. It's like 1 step forward, 1 step back. It's not going anywhere for Charles Leclerc as of now. He's still got 15 laps, though. And, every lap that does happen, those medium tyres do get worse and worse. All right, yeah, good morning, guys. Well, yeah, if you're watching from Australia, then, of course, it will be good morning to you guys. Yeah, and yeah, if you're in Finland or in Europe, it's not too late at night. Well, depending on where you are in Europe, it might be a little bit late, but it's a Monday tomorrow. Actually, I've got quite a bit of stuff on tomorrow, but oh well. Okie dokes. What else is going on the circuit? I mean, the Alpines are stuck behind Nico Hülkenberg. The Alpines trying to get into points, but they just can't do anything. Logan Sargent trying to overtake Stroll. He comes over the radio complaining, "What's this guy doing?" So the Williams crew trying to get the FIA to do something about Stroll. I suspect Stroll probably did some moving under braking or something like that Logan wasn't particularly happy about. It is Monday right now. Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah. It is 1 a.m. in Kenya. Oh, yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I don't know exactly what to say to that. Sargent comes over the radio saying that Stroll's moving too much under braking. So there we go. 8:50 in Melbourne. I got to go to uni soon. Hopefully, this Grand Prix wraps up with a good result from McLaren. Well, it is looking like that way, and in fact, Norris gaining up on Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, we don't know how long that gaining will continue because Norris on the mediums, they're bound to start wearing out soon enough. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, just looking at the replay between Stroll and Sargent, Stroll is moving a little bit under braking, trying to just keep Sargent behind him, but it's slightly unfair there from Stroll, and I suspect he'll get some sort of warning. It's 3 a.m. in India. Damn. Well, 3 a.m. It's a bit of a time to be watching F1. Well, I mean, it's actually all right. If I think, what is it? European races would probably just be at evening time, which is all right. Woke up at 4 a.m. just to watch the race. That is, that's some solid dedication there. I think one time I woke up 3 a.m. to watch the Japanese Grand Prix or something. Yeah, oh, the like goal has been beaten. Yeah, and we are 26 subscribers away from beating our subscriber goal as well. So if you guys are enjoying the coverage, then go ahead and subscribe. I will be commentating for the next 3 races left of the season, in Brazil and then Vegas and then Abu Dhabi. Yeah. Oh yeah, Japanese Grand Prix is 2 p.m. That's a brilliant time to watch F1. I mean, all of the European races for people in Europe are at 2 p.m. Yeah, if you're in danger from Sargent, just give up already. I mean, that's what Stroll's trying to do. He's trying to not get overtaken by Logan Sargent because that would be a big knock in terms of what the rest of the paddock thinks about him, and just, you know, his own confidence. Getting overtaken by Logan Sargent, who consistently qualifies in 20th position, is not great whatsoever. Also, gap between Leclerc and Hamilton, 5.5 seconds. And he is gaining on one time. He's gaining one lap, losing time the next lap, gaining one lap, losing time the next lap, as who said it in the chat? Elstein Tyson. Yeah, 1 step forward, and by the looks of it, 2 steps back at this point, 5.5 seconds back. It was 4 seconds, 4.8, 4.9 seconds before, and it is slowly dropping back, which is not exactly what you expect, but Hamilton doing a solid job there managing his tyres. But he's still got 12 laps left, and 12 laps can spell a lot of trouble for medium tyres. All right, Verstappen, 12 seconds in the lead, has got the fastest lap in the race. Just typical Verstappen things, you know. Let's just check in with Max Verstappen. He is in the third sector, while Hamilton's in the second sector, and most of the drivers are in the first sector. He is like 60 seconds ahead of Guan Yu Zhou, who is in last position, nearly a full lap, and that's after having a race restart halfway through. So yeah, some serious pace there from Max Verstappen, and yeah. All right, Lando Norris right to the outside here of Daniel Ricciardo. And what a move. Okay, so I'll just talk you through this. Daniel Ricciardo on the inside, Norris on the outside. Ricciardo braking as late as he can, but Norris just goes round the outside. Ricciardo, very fair, respectful driving there, leaving the space. But Norris now up into 6th position. A great drive there from Lando Norris, recovering from 17th up into 6th place. And yeah, I mean, if he plays his cards right, he could catch up to Russell, who has been struggling with his tyres ever so slightly. And he could pull off a 5th place position. But nevertheless, I mean, Oscar Piastri has done a solid job this weekend. Of course, it's his rookie season. You can't blame him too much. And currently, right now, we have got Lando Norris with the highest percentage of vote for Driver of the Day, 22% of the vote, compared to Daniel Ricciardo with 18 and Hamilton with 13. So Norris getting most of the Driver of the Day, and fairly so. He's done a brilliant job recovering from his bad qualifying, and consider if he did start up in 6th position, then where could he have been from there? F1 Gamer, using a new software for the display? Yes, I am. I am using multi-viewer. It's a little bit more of a faff to set up than the previous setup, but it's definitely worth it. Love the DRS and complete tyre history. And you get all the information. It's nice to read, and hopefully YouTube compression isn't too big an issue, and you can get it all. It's still all visible on your phone. But yeah. All right, Hamilton managing the gap. Indeed, he is. I mean, the gap's got bigger now. It's 6 seconds. So I don't know what Hamilton is doing to these tires. He is just massaging these tires all the way to the end of this race. And yeah, 10 laps left now. And well, I expected the gap to be down to 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds at this point. But in fact, it's gone the opposite way. It's gone up. So there we go. Yeah, it's awesome. Super clear regardless of device. Well, that's the kind of brilliant content you get when you come watch F1 Gamers stream. So, the rest of the people watching other streams on YouTube, you should come to my stream. But of course, there's no point in me saying that because the rest of the people aren't watching my stream. Best quality content though. And I hope you guys come back, watch the next three races of the season. We'll have still a little bit more action. We've got Hamilton trying to catch up to Sergio Perez in the Drivers' Championship. Hamilton currently in second place. He's going to get 18 points in that. He is 39 points behind Perez right now. That's 18 points that he's going to get off today's race, sorry. And that just puts him one step closer to getting that second place. And depending on how Perez performs in the next couple of Grand Prix, we could see him, losing out. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Got a couple more races to go. We have got Brazil, Vegas, and Abu Dhabi. That is correct. I think Sainz will overtake Leclerc. No, the gap's 4 seconds, and a Ferrari would not do team orders. And also, I'd just like to point out Leclerc, with a broken front wing in the first stint, still was 6 seconds faster than Carlos Sainz. It was absolutely fantastic. I kind of forgot about the fact that his end plate was broken, and the end plate's pretty critical to maintaining downforce towards the rear of the car. And he lost that on his first lap collision. And ever since, he's still been able to keep ahead of Carlos Sainz. So that is a brilliant job there. Also, we've hit 57k subs, so that's fantastic. Thank you, Aaron, for hitting the subscriber button. Verstappen, 13-second gap, yeah. There's not much else to add on that. Oscar is now catching Danny Rick. Yes, he is. And Norris is catching Oscar Piastri, so the McLaren's now on the charge here in the final 8 laps of this race, doing what Ferrari could not do. And they are now catching up. Norris, though, he's on medium tyres, which are, starting to reach the end of their life, and the same for Piastri. So it's going to be a tall order, though, because around about lap number 20, 25 or so is when the hard tyres are quicker than the mediums. So, yeah, we've reached the point where the hard tyres are now faster. So Piastri's going to have a tough time overtaking Ricciardo, but Norris should be able to catch up to Russell. If you recall back to maybe, 10, 15 laps ago, Russell was just sat in Sainz's DRS for the entire race. Well, not the entire race, sorry, for like 10 laps, 15 laps, and that destroyed his tyres. Oh my God, they've just come over the radio to Norris and have just said, Russell, we know what Russell's like, he's all or nothing, so we just have to be patient with him. So the McLaren team giving a bit of stick there to George Russell, saying, oh yeah, George Russell, he's a little bit hot-headed. We've got to manage, make sure we make a clean move on him and not get any contact. McLaren being slightly savage there towards George Russell. Too bad I can only sub once. Well, open the stream up on like 12 tabs and make a new account. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. Has Leclerc overcooked his brakes? Perhaps. Yes, that is a good point. Forgot about that. Leclerc was instructed over the radio not a couple of laps ago, probably 20 laps ago, saying you got to start lifting off more because you're getting... you've got to start lifting off more because his brakes were just not going to make it to the end of this race. So that might be the issue that he is dealing with right now. His brakes not had enough cooling, and he is, of course, you've got so many big braking zones around here. Turn number 1, turn number 4, turn number 12, 3 big braking zones, and they are, braking from 350 kilometers down to 100 kilometers. So very big braking zones, and if your brakes are obviously not working at optimal condition, you are going to start losing time, and that might be the reason for Leclerc not catching up to Hamilton. Why did Alonso retire? Alonso, I think lack of pace, and he had a bit of damage. Not 100% sure. Yeah. Oh, here comes Lando Norris. He has got DRS. Well, he's within 1 second of George Russell. And we've got 7 laps left on this race. Can Lando Norris get that 5th place spot and gain 12 positions from where he started? Right, we'll have to wait and see. Here he goes then through the stadium section, just within that 1 second window. He'll be a little bit too far back on this attempt to overtake Russell, but it'll be a matter of time where once he's got DRS, that's going to make it so much easier for him. And here he comes out of the final corner. 8 tenths is the gap. Russell gets a little bit squirrely on the exit of the corner, and Norris with the DRS now is cruising down the straight, approaching 350 kilometers an hour as he does so, and he is now gaining so much to George Russell. There we go. He's in his mirrors. He pokes around to the side a little bit, letting George Russell know, I am in your mirrors. I am here to overtake you, announcing himself a little bit and making sure George knows that he's there. Otherwise, George, might just do a little turn in on him. Just do a typical George moment. We'll have to wait and see. But Lando Norris, though, he's struggling a little bit as he is behind George Russell. He's missing the apexes and, missing the apexes a little bit. So, of course, the dirty end not helping out. But if he can keep within this 1 second gap, maybe 6 tenths, 5 tenths as he comes out the final corner, that should be an overtake confirmed indeed. Yeah. All right. Aren't Norris's tyres done? I mean, that's the exact same thing I thought, but Norris's tyres are done, but George Russell's tyres are even more done compared to Norris's, so that's why Norris is still able to attack him. All right, yeah, and Piastri not been able to catch up to Daniel Ricciardo. In fact, Daniel Ricciardo extending that gap out, mainly because the hard tyres are just significantly faster than the mediums at this point in the race. And Leclerc, the gap dropping even more now, 9 seconds. And it seems like Leclerc will be struggling with brake issues. Haven't got any confirmation of that, but this is what we suspect at least, because he was told over the radio earlier to be careful and start lifting and coasting a little bit more. And yeah, Lewis somehow keeping consistent lap times. It is quite astonishing how he is doing that. In fact, setting quicker lap times as well. Yeah, 36 laps on medium tyres. Hamilton is doing a masterclass in managing his tyres. Oh, we have a yellow flag. Lance Stroll has had an incident in the stadium section. It looks like he's got going again, but just a little bit of a spin there. Oh, Lando Norris on the inside of George Russell. Can he make the move stick? Yes, he can. Brilliant move. He does it at an unexpected point. Russell can do nothing about it. And as they go through turn number 6, we haven't seen an overtake there all race long. And Lando Norris pulls it off with 4 laps left to go. What a overtake from Lando Norris up into 5th position. Oh, what solid overtake from him. Okie dokes. All right, and the gap now extended out to 1 second, and George Russell has no opportunity to make an overtake there. So let's have a look. What happened to Lance Stroll? Lance Stroll goes to the inside, and yeah, gets hit by Guan Yu Zhou a little bit, gets tapped by Guan Yu Zhou, and then is spun around into a 360 there. So yeah, a bit rash there from Guan Yu Zhou. I mean, it wasn't exactly Stroll's fault, but Guan Yu Zhou just trying to hold on to that position, and he was a little too far back to get that move done. All right. Yeah, Norris, though, doing a brilliant job overtaking George Russell there. I suggest you guys do watch the highlight reel for that. It was a brilliant overtake, to be honest. Yeah, fantastic job there. All right, we've got 6,500 people tuned into the stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you are enjoying, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. We're getting pretty close to the 2,000 likes. And Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso, both of them are out of the race. Both of them DNFing. Double DNF for Aston Martin. They are not going to be particularly pleased about that. We got Max Verstappen in the lead of this race. 3 laps left to go. Hamilton 14 seconds behind, of Max Verstappen. And a very big gap there from first place to second. Daniel Ricciardo doing a solid job though, up in 7th position. Of course, Yuki Tsunoda did a even better job, I would say, than Daniel Ricciardo, recovering from 20th all the way up into 8th before he did have that incident with Oscar Piastri. So we know that Tsunoda has a little bit more pace than Daniel Ricciardo, at least if you know, because we saw Norris, he was quicker than Piastri. He recovered all of those positions and went on to overtake Piastri and make 2 overtakes after that as well. So I'm sure Tsunoda would have done the same thing. He would have caught up to the back of Oscar Piastri, caught up to the back of Daniel Ricciardo, sorry, and then went on to make a couple more overtakes as well. Nevertheless, though, a solid drive from Daniel Ricciardo, second race back after his wrist injury, and up in 7th position. And I mean, look at this. Daniel Ricciardo now onto the back of George Russell. Russell's tyres really struggling. I mean, I said this earlier when he was sat behind Carlos Sainz for the majority of after the restart. He was basically killing his tyres, and this is really coming back to bite him now. There is 0.8 of a second between the two drivers, between Russell and Ricciardo. And Ricciardo's going to get DRS here. Does Russell have the ability for 2 more laps to hold off Daniel Ricciardo? That is the question. All right, here they go then, on to the second to last lap, penultimate lap of the race, and we've got Daniel Ricciardo catching up to the back of George Russell. 0.8 is the gap. It took Lando Norris two laps to overtake George Russell, and oh my God, Ricciardo's gaining so much down the straight there. He looks to the inside, doesn't make a move, but right now he's in 7th position onto the back of George Russell, and he is gaining rapidly. And this could be a final lap overtake there for Daniel Ricciardo. Okie dokes, let's have a look then. In fact, Ricciardo doing a better job of hitting the apexes than Norris was when Norris was trying to overtake Russell here. So Ricciardo managing these hard tyres a little bit better than Norris managed his mediums. And he is getting close now to Russell. He's putting him under a fair amount of pressure. And Russell, of course, conscious of the fact that his teammate's up in 2nd position. He's down in 6th. Will he be able to hold on? Will he do something rash? We'll have to wait and see. Though Ricciardo gaining every DRS zone, helping him out here. All right, Max Verstappen on the final lap of his race. He's coming through the 2nd straight of the circuit. Russell is 0.8 of a second ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. And here they go, out of the final corner they go. For the final time, Daniel Ricciardo has the DRS, has the slipstream. His engine will be on the maximum attack mode, battery on maximum deployment. And here he comes down the straight. Russell will be doing the exact same thing. He's gaining. Looks to the inside. Russell goes defensive. Maybe that's a little bit early from George Russell, and that could compromise him on the next straight. Let's have a look. Daniel Ricciardo right on the tail of George Russell. He's activated the slipstream, activated the DRS, sorry, and here he comes. Can he get that overtake done he's on the inside. He's on the inside of George Russell, and can he get it done? Russell round the outside, Ricciardo on the inside. Side by side, they go through turn number 5, 6. And Russell doing a brilliant job of defensive driving there. But Max Verstappen comes across the line to win the Mexican Grand Prix. Another win for Max Verstappen. And it is so close. Let's get back to the action between Russell and Ricciardo. Here they are going through the middle sector, and Ricciardo is gaining. 0.4 is the gap. He is the closest he has ever been down this part of the circuit. And can he make a move into the stadium section? It's going to be difficult. And by the looks of it, it's not going to happen here. And we've got Hamilton crossing the line in 2nd position. We've got Leclerc in 3rd for a podium. Sainz in 4th. And Norris in 5th after a brilliant recovery drive. We've got Russell in 6th, just holding off Daniel Ricciardo there. And Ricciardo in 7th position, having a brilliant drive, starting the race up in 4th. And the AlphaTauri car probably what didn't deserve to be up there, but still held on to claim a 7th position for himself. Then we've got Piastri in 8th, Alex Albon in 9th, and Esteban Ocon in 10th. That has been a solid Grand Prix, guys. We've hit 2,000 likes. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Also, guys, I would just like to let you guys know, I do have one video up on my channel, and it's about F1 cars engines evolution throughout, like from the 1950s all the way to right now. And if you guys are interested, which I'm sure many of you are, about, you know, how F1 engines have changed, how we used to have V12s, now we've got V6s, and what they all sounded like, then I have got one video up on my channel, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys checked it out. Maybe not now, maybe sometime later. But yeah, just about the evolution of F1 engines through the decades. What else was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, a solid Grand Prix. We had a red flag, had a safety car, a virtual safety car, a whole lot of incidents, and 4 DNFs. But apart from that, we've had a great Grand Prix, a lot of overtaking. And unfortunately, though, Sergio Perez crashing out of his home Grand Prix before he even completes one lap. Yeah. All right. I think that has been it. I will... okay, so today's stream's going to end. It's going to take you over to next week's stream in Brazil, the Brazilian qualifying stream. So I just suggest that if you guys could hit the press for a reminder button, and also press the reminder button and hit the like button as well. That would be brilliant. Yeah, there isn't too much more to add. I mean, I've talked about the entire race for the past hour or so, 2 hours. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating to you all. Have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. I think that's it. Yeah, I will see you guys next week for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's a sprint weekend once again, so we've got sprint qualifying, sprint quali, sprint race, and then the actual race as well. Yeah, that has been the Mexican Grand Prix. Really appreciate everyone tuning into the stream, and I will see everyone in 1 week's time. Cheers, fellas.